Click, buy, deliver with the two-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester, Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin, the Racin.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to episode 79 of Chasing the Racing.
79!
And we're joined in the studio by Mr. Joe Akroyd. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Oh God, he's even gone to his Barry White voice. Hello, ladies. Yes, Joe Akroyd
Because as
here.
soon as you press that button, it all changes, doesn't it?
Is this your telephone voice, is it?
All the shite we've been babbling on about for the last hour, and then you press that button. Jesus Christ.
Now, for people that don't have a clue and maybe never heard of your name,
Most people, then. Yeah.
Well, great way to insult the guest straight off the bat, Chrissy. Very classy approach this way.
I was just
Very
saying,
classy.
obviously, I'm aware of your name, and I've seen you a few times at Scarborough,
Yeah.
and especially the last,
Just from what Dom's texted you.
especially the last
I'm going to
time.
get this lad on, he's from Yorkshire.
From Yorkshire.
But I am actually really looking forward to this podcast to like go through your career, how you got into road racing and stuff. But yeah, just as for people that listen to the podcast that don't know much about the racing or whatever, so race with Dom on the roads,
Yeah.
and go from like, did you go straight into road racing, or did you used to do short circuit, or?
No, I did. I actually started with mini bikes, mini motos back in, 2003, 2004. And it was Dan Linfoot that put me onto it. Went to school with Dan.
Oh, did you?
Now, hold on. Now, Dan Linfoot's got a sense of humour because you're like 7 foot, aren't you, or something like that.
Yeah,
So
he's a real
have you always been a tall lad?
piss taker. Yeah. I was like 6'1" when I was 13.
Jesus,
Yeah,
wet.
yeah.
So hold on, what age
So,
were you when you got on a mini bike then? And how
13. Yeah, 13 or 14. I was 6 foot. Yeah,
There's Dan
ridiculous.
Linfoot
Dan
going-
was like here.
That's it. You
Yeah,
really
yeah.
fit on one of these. You'd love this.
Yeah. I was playing rugby and I was crap at rugby, so we thought we'd go and have a do it. Riding bikes.
Do you know, I was watching
natural
some,
progression.
I was
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
some old GP racing from Donington, and there was a wet Grand Prix from like, I can't remember how long ago, but Dan Linfoot's just a kid, and he gets a points finish in a wild card, which it must have been around that sort of time.
Yeah.
'Cause he was proper young. I think he was riding for
That'd have
KLP.
been 2005, I think.
Right. Okay.
Or 6. Oh, yeah, he was with KRP. Yeah, I went to watch him. Yeah. Him and... Did Westy do it as
I
well?
think so. Yeah.
Him and Westy did it,
Do you know, one really weird thing with
I'm saying now.
a weird thing with Westy was for years. Obviously, I've known who he is. Like he was in British Superbikes when I've been coming up, and then he's been in Supersport for years. And years ago, I think it was 2009. Back, I was doing the Aprilia Super Teens, and we were wildcarding at the support race at the World Superbike event at Donington. And it's when you're a kid, when you're that age, you just go around and you just get posters signed off anyone, and I came home with
That's
those.
when they gave free shit away. Now you don't get anything, do you?
Well, anyway, I came home
Damn COVID.
and I put for some reason the only one that I had like decent condition that was signed was Westy on this Triumph. So I put it up in the garage, and it was like a few months ago. We had a Concept 2 rower and were things, and my dad came to us and said, like, out of all the things we've done, all the races we've been to, why on earth have we got a massive poster of Westy in like the prime spot in the garage? which is mad. But yeah, sorry. So
Westy be stroking one off right now. Damn right, Chrissy. They are done.
So it was Linfoot that got you into racing to start with.
Yeah.
So you're not from a racing family?
My dad dabbled in sidecars when we was a kid. Yeah, so he'd done a bit of sidecars.
right, proper stock then.
But me granny and grandpa lived in Kirkmichael. So we'd go to the TT every year till probably 96. I think it was probably when they moved back. They moved back to Morecambe. So we yeah, I know. Someone's got to live there. So fucking offended everybody there.
I know, it's brilliant. John McGuinness said your nanny and granddad. There you go.
So yeah, that was sort of brought up with the bike thing. But I remember always wanting like a Pee-wee 50 as a kid, and my mum and dad said, "No, you're not having one. You're not having one. You're not having one." And my uncle used to play rugby for England. Brian Moore, the guy that does the commentating.
Yeah.
Shut up, man.
Yeah. It's my mum's brother. So it was like, that's the way you're gonna go. You are gonna play rugby because it's there, and I didn't have any interest in it. And then when Dan said went to Batley to an indoor mini bike meeting, had a ride in it there. I said to my dad, I don't want to do rugby anymore. So he said, all right, we'll do that then. So we did mini bikes did 2 years of that, and then we rode some 50s.
Are we talking mini bikes?
Like-
There's such a
like-
different terminology now. We've got pit bike racing.
Yeah,
Aussies.
no, it was before
Are we
all
talking?
that. No, it was before. It was like, do you remember like the Passinis, Pellini and Passini, mini motos? It was them. It was them.
Mini
So
motor
was
racing.
it like
proper.
a 4.2?
That's it. Yeah.
Christ, you must have been
Yeah.
flexible, lad.
I couldn't do it now. I'd be just welded to it now. You'd never get me off it.
Did you race that in like Fab Racing or something?
What's that?
Was it the British Championships?
It was the Northern and Eastern Counties
Bit of
Mini Moto
segregation there.
Championship.
There you
And
are.
then we did. Well, I went down to do the Southern one and fed it all to the Southerners. That was a dream. That was an absolute weapon. The boy that thought he was the boy got it all handed to him. I was absolutely capped with that. Yeah. And then it all went downhill from there. Really, just
I peaked at
Yeah,
13 and 6
peaked at
foot something.
13,
There
yeah.
you go.
that was it.
I think, do you know what? I think you're the first guest that we've had on. You might correct
was
us
actually
if I'm
fun.
wrong, but the first guest that we've had on that hasn't started because either the dad or the mum or the uncle got them into it directly.
No,
Oh, can you think of anybody else that?
No, I can't actually.
Pretty much everyone we speak to, the dad is really into bike racing and that bought them a bike early on or somehow got into bike racing.
my dad's always been into his bike. There's always been bikes in the family, but it was never.
He never actually
It was
ripped.
never,
No,
"Oh,
on
let's
sidecar.
go."
Well, so sidecar
Yeah.
paddock. So you've grown up in the
No,
not
but
really.
I don't remember that. That was before me and my brother came along. I don't think his sidecar career lasted very long. So.
All right. So like you
But,
say,
it's-
you've
but
come...
he's been, I have literally come from zero racing really, and it was the opportunity came
Linfoot.
up, and and Dan sort of introduced me to it, and we said, all right, we'll give that a day.
Bit of a
Right.
coincidence actually, because we've got Linfoot lined up for the podcast as
Have
well.
you?
It was like whether you or Linfoot could make this week, which is mad because we didn't even know that you knew.
So-
like,
so
I
hold on,
Was
so
Dan
hold
busy
on.
washing his new hair?
So hold on. So straight off the bat,
Go on.
straight off the bat. So you've outrightly insulted by going for people that have no idea who you are, and straight
Yeah.
away going, you are literally
backup.
you're the backup for
Yeah,
the guest.
thanks
So
very much.
Chrissy, you are your career in hosting fantastic. Well done.
It's
Now
a
we're
good job
trying
you can ride a bike, and
It
you're
is,
a
isn't it?
prick otherwise.
Speaking of the hair transplant thing, is Linfoot?
hold
You
on,
look like
hold
you've had
on,
one,
hold
to
on.
be fair.
No, I've got a proper McDonald's. Me, I think I need
you?
one more than I've got one. But is that the? Did they go over to
I can't stop
Turkey to
looking
get
at
it
it
done?
now.
No, you had it done over here.
I think because quite a few. Jack Kennedy's had one. Coops has just had one. Shaky Bird's
Coops
just
had
had
one?
one. Yeah.
Hold
Linfoot's
on,
had one.
Coops, like little Coops, Richard Cooper Coops.
Yeah, he had it because he was supposed to get married this year, so he had his.
Has Tara McKenzie had one?
I don't think so.
Hold
Does
on,
he
is
not?
that the blonde one or the brunette one?
Which one?
Taz is
Taylor's the
younger
blonde one.
Ah, different. I'll get them mixed up.
Do you
Both
think Taz
Mackenzies.
has had one?
Shut
I
up,
thought
man.
he had.
Nah,
No.
I doubt it.
Straight off the rumour mill, Taz McKenzie's just had it.
Get that one on Bike Sport News.
Yeah. I tell you, you've got a very strong hairline. Have you had any work done there? Or is that
No.
all
I could
natural?
do with a decent dentist, to be honest with you. Hoss file, take tops off that.
I tell you what, we were actually chatting, like I say, we always have the crack before the crack, and it's a bit like you were into BMXing
Yeah.
beforehand. So
Yeah, but-
are they all fake on the front then?
No, they just patched together with bits of Araldite or whatever shite was kicking about on the floor at the time. We're all into BMX when we're kids, aren't we?
Were you? That's a good
wasn't.
question. I was
My-
absolutely obsessed with it.
My childhood
Obsessed.
was me, Dan, and a mate of ours called Pat, and the three of us just all we did after school was just ride our bikes
BMX.
everywhere,
Mate.
all the time, non-stop.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, to be fair, Dan's a bright lad, so he'd go home and do his homework. I'm a thick bastard, so I'd go home and tell my mum I'd done my homework and tell my dad, and then just disappear on my bike, just put myself in the fence. That was it. Yeah.
It's got to be done. Aren't you talking about Dan Linfoot here, by any chance?
Yeah,
Dan.
yeah.
So, all right, you've grown up with Dan Linfoot.
Yeah.
All right. No,
Where
no,
have
hold
you
on.
been
No,
for
hold
the
on.
last 10 minutes?
No, I've been asleep, mate. No, just I'm saying, at the end of the day, you might have bumped into Dan Linfoot and just said, why don't you have a crack at this? You know?
No. We went
All
to,
right,
he's a year older than me at school, so he was a year above me when I went to secondary school. But we went to different primary schools, but the same secondary school.
So we're going to accidentally have the interview before Dan Linfoot here. But
Yeah, we
so
give
is
you all
Dan?
dirt,
Is Dan?
innit?
Is like Dan motocrossing beforehand? So were you not? It's interesting how you.
No, I think Dan's because his dad used to do a bit of race, and I think his
Right.
dad was keen to
Push him into
sort
it,
of get
kind of
into
thing.
it, you know. So that's sort of where he started with it.
This
So he's
is
been doing
brilliant.
it maybe a couple of years before I went and did a mini bike thing with him, mini moto.
So
Right.
so I guess he was doing proper racing and was doing the mini bikes as training, and then took you along. Is that right?
No, he was racing the mini motos competitively, and then went and did a practice day, and I went along on a night and had a do.
I thought by the time he was like 13, 14, he would have been racing. Like, was he not doing 125s or something?
I don't know if we did. I don't know if we even did a season's racing together, to be honest with you. Because then he went on to an Aprilia. He had this stinking horrible, like, orange RS125. And he wasn't on that very long, and then he was on GP bikes.
Right, okay.
I'm sort of doing his interview for him, really.
No, this is mint.
So, yeah.
And then after initially getting on the mini bikes, did you then make the step up to what, like an Aprilia, or how?
Yeah, we did a season of that, and then there was a thing that had just come over from France called Conti's.
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember the Conti's?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I did a season on them.
So there was Conti's and Metro kits, and
That was
like,
it. Yeah. But then, like, Metro kits were running at Cadwell and stuff, weren't they? Whereas Conti's were a 50. I think Metro kits were an 80, weren't they?
You could get Metro kit 50, 70s, and 80s. 80s you could run with the with the Aprilia 125s.
Yeah. Well, we just did them Conti's for a season.
So did you do that at, like, on the British mini bikes use as tracks, like
Rowrah,
Lyd, Lyd,
Wonwell,
Wilton Mill,
Stretton,
yeah.
Where else did we go?
Landau.
I never went there. There's one at Preston, tracks at Preston. It's got a supermoto track.
Three Sisters.
Three Sisters. Yeah. That's a separate one, but yeah, there was one called Tracks.
All right.
Dom likes riding Three Sisters, I think.
Yeah.
So the
Sounds
rumour has it.
right.
So the rumour has it.
Again, the conversation before we came on air says something different, doesn't it? We won't talk about that either.
The best thing is, though, people will be watching going, why aren't they talking? Normally they're very open about these discussions, but you are a married man, so we're not going to go down.
I love my other half dearly.
Oh, brilliant.
Nah, she's ace.
Oh, spot on. Absolutely spot on. By the way, we're talking about Chrissy's single life. We're not talking about anything else. That sounded quite deep-rootedly seeded, that conversation beforehand. We're talking about, that's a good shout out. Chrissy's single, by the way.
Let's get back on the Conti's. And then...
You want to go back on the Conti's, not your single.
I think we should talk about your single life.
Smell in here, to be honest with you.
Do you know what? I've just bleached this out. It's absolute. This is the cleanest.
Needed to.
This is the cleanest.
If this is bleached.
This is the cleanest that this has been all year. But it's all said for the winner. Anyway, let's get back on.
Back to Conti's.
So,
back to Conti's, boring shite.
You were on Conti's, and then did you get up to the?
And then it was Aprilia RS125. Did Super Teens.
Did
Super Teens for a season.
Was that when it was still with MRO?
Yeah, and
like
it was
Bempsey.
Sponsored by J&S.
Yeah,
It was all. So everyone had to have that white livery. So it was doing it. There was Luke Jones. I'm trying to think of guys that are still doing it now.
What year was this?
2006.
2006. So that was the year before Folkard won. Folkard won in 2007. So he'd have been.
Yeah.
I'm not really that familiar with that year, to be honest.
I don't know. You sound a bit quite familiar with it.
I know the Super Teens like really well from 2007 to 2010.
There was Gino was in it. Gino was in it.
Because from that year, Gino was only 14, I think. But from that
he was
year,
a tiny wee toot of a lad.
He then went over to European Superstock for. Can you remember George White? And
I do. Yeah.
And him and Loris Baz were both like 15-year-old, and they were battling for wins in the European Stock 600.
Yeah.
Then when he was only like 17, he went up to World Supersport. And he was like winning races at World Supersport. Then he went to Moto2, and he was like the next best thing in Britain. And then his career massively sort of tailed off, and he kind of went off the ball. And he's making a bit of a.
I know. When's Gino on?
We're having the interview through you, so if you'd like to fill the gaps, that'd be awesome.
I do remember him being tiny and just being unbelievable, like a child prodigy.
Yeah, he was. And when you tried to put him on a super team bike as well, it was
hardly touched the floor.
Oh my god, yeah.
Well, the year that I started Super Teens, Taz McKenzie started the same
It'd be
time.
exactly the same.
He couldn't touch the floor,
no.
so someone had to wait for him in pit lane, and he would like drive to his dad. And if nobody was there, he would just fall. So if the session ever got red flagged, he would just stop and flop on his side.
I've never had that problem. I was about to say, if 13-year-old at 6 foot, I don't think you've ever had that problem.
Never ever been an issue.
So while you've gone through the world's smallest motorcycles at this point, did you ever think, I want to get on a big bike or anything like that? Was that always the end goal for you? Did you see the steps? Or
No, because I've always liked two-strokes. I do like me two-strokes. I love a two-stroke. So like, I was happy, because I know a lot of lads did super teens and then they went to do like CB500s, or they'd go and do steel frames. They'd make the bigger jump to the bigger bikes, but they'd never go down the 125, the GP bike road, where I wanted to do that. I wanted to get a GP bike. So I said to my dad about it, and we said, all right, we'll have a go at that.
So did you only do the 1 year in Super Teens?
Did 1 year in Super Teens, and then the following year went into 125s in the British Championship.
I know I keep picking on your height, but you must have been the tallest lad.
Yeah.
You must have been.
I'm
So
trying to think who else was tall though.
no, here's a question.
Nathan Pallett, does that name ring a bell to you?
No.
Ryan Saxelby.
I know Ryan. Yeah.
Ryan's a tall
Sounds a bit
guy.
wooden.
RS.
Yeah.
So when you went to GP 125s in British, who was the top runners in the championship back then?
The lowest boys were doing it. KRP had a big outfit. So I think Dan Westy and I think Dan Cooper was riding for KRP.
Yeah. Dan Cooper won the championship one year.
Did he?
Yeah. Did you know that?
Nope.
He was a weapon. Yeah, he was a weapon on a GP bike. I can't think who else was sort of in it really.
Yeah.
Aaron Walker was on an Aprilia, but you don't remember who Aaron Walker was.
No, I don't.
Here's a daft question for our listeners. Do you think a height is a disadvantage or an advantage? Very bland, random question. It's always good. No, I just like the thing is you're talking about
Lorraine
physical
Kelly
leverage.
looking at you, innit?
I know, deep in their eyes, boy, deep in their eyes. But no, being serious, because the thing is, you think, oh, he's a bit like they always say, it's a commentator's easy target, isn't it? Oh, he's a bit big for this class. They always think like Connor Cummins is too big for a 600, but is he too big? Is it a weight? Because you look like a smackhead. You're that skinny. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
But you're welcome. I thought if we're going to jump on the insulting bandwagon like Christy here, we might as well jump straight in. But you can't weigh much. Your height obviously adds physical weight to you.
Good bone density.
Good bone density, good lad. But
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is a massive
disadvantage
No.
or advantage, just
if at Grand Prix level maybe, but even then I've not. What's
Yeah.
Rossi? He's 6 foot, is he? 5'11".
how tall is it?
70 kilograms only.
Hold on,
Ah,
no, but
that's-
what's his height?
That's,
But what's his
height? Yeah,
I think he's 5'11", isn't he?
yeah. So
Jesus, how tall are you? I don't even know my height.
5'8", I think I am.
You're tall. I must be fucking 5'7" or 6" or something like that. I don't even know.
Nicola Canepa, he's a big youth, isn't he?
Who?
Canepa. I might.
Here we go. This is mint. This is your show now. We're handing over the keys tonight.
He
So
tall?
if you,
Like,
he was
Canepa.
European Superstock. Did he win to Superstock Championship for Ducati and then went into MotoGP? And you don't know who.
no, this is
Nicola
brilliant.
Canepa.
This is good.
I know
No,
the name, but I don't know.
no, you don't. No, you don't. You're just trying
I
to
was
act
just zoning
intelligent.
on tall lads and be like, oh yeah, well he's doing all right. I'll keep doing this thing that I'm flogging me guts at and smashing myself to pieces.
No,
by, yeah.
that's it though. No, it's just interesting to see
I
what.
don't think it is. I don't think it is a huge.
In terms of being
which is-
competitive, what like when you went to GP 125s, were you somewhere near the front, mid
It's
pack,
fucking terrible.
towards the back?
Yeah.
And was that because like a lack of skill?
Don't
or
beat
was it-
yourself down
we-
too
I
much.
don't think how it's changed, has it?
we-
I don't know why it rung me, to be honest with you.
Because you're sensational crack.
We already touched on that one, didn't we? So.
were you on a shit bike, or was it? Were you on good machinery but just didn't have the skill, or was it?
No, I was on a shit bike. To be fair, I was on a shit
Loads
bike
of skills,
against a
shit
load
bike.
of proper quick lads.
Yeah.
In arguably, one of the most competitive championships that you can go into. So,
Yeah.
it was one of them.
Was Steve Patterson still racing then, or did he start having a team?
No, he had Rob Guyver riding for him.
I used to be teammates with Rob.
Yeah,
so when
yeah.
Rob was still in 125s in 2011, when I was there, and I was teammates with him.
Yeah.
Steve Patterson ran the team.
Yeah,
Great lads.
he
then, and
knows his stuff.
that sort of era of the GP bikes and stuff. I
Yeah.
do miss it, to be honest. I do miss watching it, smelling it.
Do you know what? I went to Brands to help John and
John
McGuinness.
Name drop.
You asked for me. You asked me to tell you, you cod face. So I went down to give him a hand, and that's the first BSB round I've been to in 11 years. And I stood there and I did think, this is missing like a 250 class.
Yeah.
I know they tried it and it fell on its hole, didn't it? It never even started.
To be fair though, at the last round when there's no crowd there and stuff, that atmosphere is nothing compared to what it usually is. So you've kind of got a slanted judgment on like what the championship's like, because a normal race day at Brands Hatch, when it's like it's packed and it's like a proper buzz in the air, where it did feel very flat this year.
But do you not think from like a competitor's point of view, the crowds don't?
Not when you're out there, but it's
no. But even
that atmosphere of the
like
weekend.
you went down and watched, didn't you? So you were there watching as well. From as a racer being the other side of the fence,
It killed me.
yeah, but you don't look at and go, oh god, the atmosphere's crap because of the audience. I didn't, but maybe I'm
Well, you just did-
maybe I'm retarded. I don't know. It didn't affect that side of it. Didn't really bother me because
Speaking of,
I know what you mean.
speaking
Though.
of
Good
John
point,
McGuinness,
though.
that weekend, I was
Name
actually
drop.
up. I was actually
yeah.
up at Paddock Hill
mate.
Bend when he crashed, and it was scary because I seen the whole thing. I seen him from when he high-sided, and then as he was sliding up the other side of Paddock Hill Bend up to Druids,
he is the least flexible man in the world.
I
Isn't
could see the bikes coming from
he? Just like a galvanized keg. Just
he was lucky. He could have easily been had his neck clipped or whatever, and it could have been really serious.
I don't know how he got away with not getting. And he said, I was just sliding, thinking,
Don't hit me, don't hit me.
That's it.
Because hold on, let's go into that. What position was he for that many people to come run over him?
7th or 8th, was he?
I think he was in 5th or 6th, wasn't he?
What?
He sort
What
of got
lap?
away. 2? Was it
Lap 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
Was it the exhaust? You being part of the team, was it the exhaust that beached out
Yeah.
and lifted the rear?
Yeah.
Because when you watch that footage, it's just...
Yeah.
Now, obviously coming over and having a bit of crack with you beforehand, you could just see this thing, like, bellying out. Now, what all the Ducatis? Because he's teammates with this... Is it a Speedway team or
Yeah,
something?
is he Andre Compton?
Yeah.
He used to be a weapon of a Speedway rider. I believe. I don't really follow Speedway, so I don't know. But from listening to their conversations, and
Yes, because John's a
I've heard the
huge
name.
Speedway.
Oh, he loves it. Mad for it.
Yeah, he actually.
Absolutely
Have you
mad
been
for
to
it.
see one? A Speedway race
Not
at all?
for
You never seen?
years. Not
But
for-
you
yeah,
you
I have. I've
seen
been to
one.
Bradford
Oh,
when I was
God.
younger. Yeah,
It is mint.
phenomenal.
It is
Phenomenal.
mint.
That's an atmosphere. Have you been to one?
Yeah, I'm sponsored by NGK, and they're
Name drop.
Name drop. You beat me to it.
they're massively into.
Where's their sticker in it? Oh, it's there. You've got a chair.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
They're massively into
where he sits his soul.
sponsoring the Speedway. So I've been down to Scunthorpe, I think it was,
Yeah.
and I've done. No, sorry, it was. I can't remember where.
This
I can't
single
remember
life,
where.
he could do what he wants.
But
I know. Living dream.
There's a guy called what's his name? There's a place at Scunthorpe where you can hire the track, and when I used to race for a Stock 600 team,
Scunthorpe Speedway.
yeah, Scunthorpe, and
Oh, you know that place at Scunthorpe.
Where they do the Speedway.
Where they do Speedway.
there's a guy there called Wayne Carter, and you
Right.
can go down and hire the practice track all day. So the team used to hire it.
You can hire the big one as well.
Yeah, and then you basically
Never.
We were supposed to go.
you get up to speed on the small one, and then you get let out on the 500s on the big track. And honestly, it is
really?
one of the
Have
best
you ridden
things.
then?
Best things I've done. Yeah,
Because
Mega.
I did a season of grass track. I sacked off road racing in 2009. We bought a bike.
We'll get to that, so don't we?
What?
Like come through.
Oh, right, yeah. And
Metricates were fucked off.
yeah, we're done with that. No shit. Next. So yeah, I had like a gap where I didn't race. I thought I'm over it now. And a mate of mine's done
How
grass
big of a
track for
gap?
years.
I'm interrupting this little.
I don't know.
middle-
Probably about 5 years.
Never.
4 years maybe. I mean, I live in Harrogate, which is the middle of the country, and I bought myself a jet ski because that's what happens. Tried downhill mountain biking, jet skiing, road cycling, and ended up bike racing bikes. But I did a season of on a 350 on the grass track, and we took that to Scunny Speedway, and I think it's mega. I think it's mega. But then I hurt myself at the top of a field near Emily Moore doing grass tracking. I thought, this is a stupid sport.
Hold on, what kind of level of hurt though? Now, motorcycles pain
just
threshold's huge. Was it a proper
face
mess?
planted and just dislocated my shoulder, but my shoulder was sat on, like there, right at the front of me. And
Do you know, I'm quite fancying turning my motocross bike into a grass track bike. Would you recommend? Do you think that's a good choice?
You've only had that 10 minutes.
I don't know. Do you know what the thing is for me with the whole grass track thing? It's like it's a sport that nobody else does. You know, if they're good at grass tracking, they generally don't really do anything else. And that's coming from a mate of mine who's a grass tracker, Pete Wildbaugh. He said that's his actual name, and he says you know, lads that can do grass track and are good at grass track generally aren't much good at any other disciplines of sport. You know, at motorbiking.
Tim and Tom Neve.
Yeah, but they're flat track, aren't they?
track,
That's
grass
different.
Right.
That's different.
By the way,
Go on,
what-
explain the
yeah,
difference
what-
for our listeners. Explain. Go on.
So
quick.
a flat track bike is a motocross bike that they put road forks in the front of them, don't they? And they
Yeah, like
slam the front on,
supermoto
don't they?
tyres-ish.
Yeah, like wets. That's a flat track bike. A grass track bike is like a longer version of a speedway bike, I believe.
All right.
So you still have you have your engine with plates mounted to the engine, and then everything's built around that. No brakes. Right. And if you ride them slowly in a straight line, you can feel the front and the rear wheel feel almost disconnected. It's weird. Right. Weird. For us boys, trying to go do that.
But get the flat track. Is that the bike you want to turn into? Flat track.
I was thinking about going flat track, not grass track.
Yeah,
flat. So that flat track, and you think that, in your opinion, that discipline?
No, flat track you'd be all right. But I thought you meant you were going to put your enduro, your off-road bike grass track, which they do an off-road. They do an enduro class, a lot of grass championships.
There we are.
But you're just turning left, aren't you? So what's the point? I can't really see the point in doing that on a motocross bike.
Yeah, fair enough. So the British Grand Prix racing wasn't going particularly well. Did you jack it in from there, or did you move up?
No, so then I went on to
jet skis.
Jet skis. The following year was the year they brought back Stock 600.
Right.
So that was
This is at British level.
Yeah.
This is BSB. Yeah. So you went straight in the deep end, stayed in the deep end.
Yeah, never. Really, we did a few club races, to get your bib off, but then you could go into. I think you could go straight into British 125s or a clubman.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we did. I'm pretty sure that's what you could do. So that's what I did, and then just stayed in that British Championship.
I'm not being funny, but were you fully aware what you were doing at that point, being fully in the deep end? No,
I still don't now.
That's mint. Good lad. But for me, from going from club racing to British, it'd be like deep end. No, it does for me. I'm thinking this is deep end, but it's like it's interesting because if I had I first got on a bike at 21. I think even then I knew there was a huge difference between club and BSB.
Yeah.
But if I started then, I wish I just went. I tell you what, just go straight in.
I think
with you bunch of animals.
Mentality was, if you're riding with the best and you can, even just there's nobody in that British Championship that's shit, is there? Let's be fair.
There's not. There really
everybody,
isn't.
even the lads at the back, are quick.
Yes.
I mean, fair play to you. Fair play, Mr. Mild-mannered. I don't know what you teach, but if one of my teachers had been as quick as you, I'd have listened to what he said. To be honest with you, fair play to you.
Cheers. This is how you work out speed and distance divided.
But there's nobody in that championship that's slow, is there? And I think our mentality was just, if we can get in there and we can run with these boys, it's going to do nothing other than drag me on. It's just going to pull me on. And when that 600 class came, it was like, all right. And to be fair, my dad might not thank me for saying this, but that was sort of the point at which. Have you boys done racing with your dads? You have done. Did you not?
No, my dad's race, but he doesn't come racing with me. Never has.
Because we did it together, and he's the mechanic and I'm the rider, sort of thing. And the fucking strain you put on it on your relationship, and there's so much going on away from racing, isn't there? And we just would finish a weekend and think, why have we spent this together? Yeah. So end of 07 with the 125 job, my dad just said, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. And fair play to him. And I said, right. And I think he probably thought, what would I have been? 17, 18?
You're a bloke, you know what I mean?
If Dad backs out of it, he ain't going to do it on his own. He's not going to do it on his own. And I did. And, I found a way of going racing on my own with, luckily, the help of other people. I had my ex-girlfriend, or my girlfriend at the time, her uncle had a 675 Triumph that was a road bike. He had little legs. He says, I don't enjoy riding on the road. So he said, I'll give you that as a track bike. And my girlfriend's dad at the time, again, he put some money into help. We got an exhaust and we got some suspension for it.
Yeah, this girl sounds good.
Is she single? Is she? Now that you pander off, excuse me, millionaire X.
And Mum and Dad were even better. Yeah. No, they were mega. So we just said, right, we'll do it.
This is Chrissy's single life coming back in here. There we go. Just give me that number off there. So there you go, straight in there. Chrissy rides for Triumph in 2021.
It sounds like a posh do. It won't. It were all just done.
But
we got there and we turned up at the first round with no spares. Just what we just said, right, we'll go racing. And that first round was horrible. My best mate got killed at Alton Park.
Who was that?
A lad called Tom Beggin. He was just a club racer. But he had a a bad one there, and that was it.
Was that the first time that had happened where someone that you close with lost the?
Because he was from home. He wasn't just a racer. He wasn't just my best mate at a race meeting. He was my best mate at home. So You'd been
18 the pair of you.
I was 17. He was 24.
Oh Jesus!
And he died on the 4th of April. So that was the Friday of the first round. And my birthday is the 6th of April. And I remember waking up. Brands Hatch. No, I got a phone call. I got a phone call on the Friday to tell me that he'd passed away. And it was like 10 minutes before I had to go out. And I thought, why the fuck did I answer my phone? Put my helmet on, went out. I think I qualified second to last or something. My head had completely rolled off.
Yeah.
I did qualifying on Saturday. I can't remember how it worked out. Anyway, Sunday it snowed.
I remember.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, I went.
Do you remember it?
Yeah, that weekend, my motocross bike got nicked, and that's when I started road racing. So I went down to Landau in Wales to watch road racing, so we could buy a bike. And then me and Dad had the night in Cardiff, and then we drove to Brands. And as we were pulling up Scratcher's Lane, the meeting got cancelled, and I had to drive all the way back, like over 300 mile home without seeing any racing.
It was weird. Scott Smart, I'm sure Scott Smart skied down Paddock Hill Bend.
Yeah, there's pictures. Crutchlow, shaky.
Yeah. That must have been so surreal. That moment. It must have been.
What the
with the fact that
with me mate dying or with the snow?
No,
or just that as a weekend. That was my birthday. I just woke up and I thought, I'm glad about this, to be honest, because I'm over it. So, and I think Alton was 2 weeks later, because that was like the second round. I'm sure it was. There'll probably be someone that corrects me, So I had to go to Alton with that in my head, which, like you say, when it happens, you just think, how do you process this? And I probably didn't deal with it all that well, but
you dealt with it in your way, and that's all you can. That's all you can do.
The funny thing about bike racing is that, and I was having this conversation the other day with somebody who says, "Why do you bother doing it? Why do you bother doing it?" And I said, "Because when it's good, there's nothing in the world."
Comes even
unless you've done it, there's nothing that comes close. But it has the ability to put you in lower than a shit house in a submarine, doesn't it? It can put you in positions and dark places that you just think, how have I've done it to myself? I've done it to myself.
Yeah.
It's how it is. It's a sport that gives you both extremes.
Yeah.
But because once you've had that taste when it's good, that you just basically your life turns into just craving that.
The thing is, people that we all hold close and all our friends within the sport, they're here for the same reasons.
Yeah.
When they go, it's like, well, the happiest moments are there. But the thing is, oh God, we could go down this route, and we all, it's so hard to explain. There'll be people listening to this going, well, we want you to go into more detail, want this, want that, but it's almost nigh on impossible. You can't, can you?
You can't explain to somebody who hasn't done it. I don't think.
No.
It's
they understand, but they don't.
Trying to explain
exactly.
Just enjoy it for what it is. If you've never been there and you don't understand it, then just enjoy it for what it is, because don't try and understand it.
Well, no, I 100% agree. So so you went in this stock 600s, your dad, and then
so we just muddled through on this 675.
Girlfriend, take care off. Right, tick that off.
2008, muddled through. We had sort of running top 15, top 20. I thought we were doing all right, to be fair, with what we had, because that year there was Lee Johnson, Chris Northover. Yeah, I don't know who he is. Who else was in it?
Have you ever seen the video on YouTube of Chris Northover on that Ossett thing?
No.
Oh, have you never seen that?
No. I hadn't seen Chris since he rode for Haribo in like that same year in 08. And then I hadn't seen him since like the beginning of 09. And then one of these Triumph trips that I do, he turned up to write for an American press thing with long hair and like a moustache, and fucking hell, dude.
Rough times.
You got a harder life than me. Man, he's living in the woods or something.
Yeah, he's got a mega life.
He's an absolute weapon.
Just lives in breeds.
Paper around the Alps.
But yeah, if it's the YouTube video is Chris Northover storms the embassy, and it's basically they were moving the embassy in London, so it was empty, and he goes in on this osset, and he's like doing backflips off the roof, and like it's got like millions.
I do remember him talking about that now. Yeah.
But he does quite a few YouTube videos with like millions of views.
But he's a proper nice lad as well.
Yeah, he's sound.
I think he's spot on. Real nice bloke.
Now Joe's looking at the pair of us going, I think this, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure that's a good gauge of a character base there.
What, mate?
Good lad.
So it was competitive back then.
Oh, it was fast. It was fast, yeah. Tommy Hill's brother was doing it, Jimmy. Jimmy was quick.
Like you said prior, that there's just never been a slow person in British ever, has there?
They were fast. They were quick lads that were sort of coming through, and with a lot of backing as well. A lot of backing, which is good. It's good for the sport. It's good. AJ Ventage, remember him?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
remember AJ?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so AJ was riding for Map Embassy, which was Glenn Richards and I don't know, Paul Young. Him and Paul Young were in Super Sport.
Yeah.
And then AJ was in Stock 600.
See, I had no AJ had a history. The thing is, I know you as the road racer. So listen to this as the BSB racing. Same with AJ event. I'm like,
AJ was quick.
Was the cost of going Super Stock 600 racing high back? Like what sort of figure were you looking at for a year's racing back then?
He wasn't paying it.
I fucking was. You pay it in different ways, don't you? I wouldn't. I don't know what. Do
you think it was
you
like
just pay it? Don't you?
Similar sort of
if you sat and looked at what it cost you,
God,
you'd go,
I'm
not doing this. I can't afford to do it. So you just pay it, don't you, and find a way of doing it every month.
Pay as you go contract, mate. You just turn up at the weekend and go, right.
Yeah.
There's a few trees in that. I'll put another set of tyres. I'll just go for it straight off the bat.
Like that was the reason they brought it back, was it was supposed to be the affordable class. But then when Map Embassy turn up with an articulated truck with 2 super sport bikes, and then they go, we're just going to wheel out this weapon of a South African dude and put him on a stocker.
Is this in super sport?
No, that was AJ in the stock. Map Embassy were running 2 bikes in super sport, and then they ran AJ as a stock. That's not a budget team, is it? That's not them going, we'll have a go at the budget class. That's them going, if we're going to go out there, we're going to blitz it.
As long as the rules are strict and you've got to run stock bikes, it doesn't matter how many Arctic lorries.
No.
Stock classes is
it's
all
the
a
moral,
pinch of salt in it.
It's the moral fibre, isn't it? I agree with him. I totally agree with him.
In what way?
When I was doing it in Stock 600, I don't think that those bikes were. I don't think the policing of it was maybe what it is now.
No,
I'm not taking anything away from.
When I did Stock 600, I agree. We had like pushed the bike to the rules, and I would ride the wheels off the bike for like a 5th or a 6th place.
Yeah, and you're thinking, well,
and I never won a Super Stock 600. I had one podium in Stock 600, and then as soon as I got into thousands, I was getting. For me, Stock thousands is a lot more. You can turn up as a lad and a dad, and you can win races in Stock 1000. Stock 600 for me, you had to be on about 3 or 4 bikes. I'm not sure what it's like now.
Hold on.
And the thing with it is, I won't say names, but the lads who were there know who it was. But there was 2 lads that turned up at the first round and went on R6s and went straight across the start-finish straight with the things popping and banging because they put quick shifters on. So you're going. So if you're prepared to do that, what else are lads doing? They've gone, stock class, right? Well, what can we do to cheat and hide? It's how it is. How it is. I genuinely turned up on a bike that had been a road bike, and we put
a proper super stock bike.
It was a stock bike. It was a road bike that had done like 7,000 miles, and we just put the cheapest Öhlins suspension on it and an end can done by Quill, whoever they were. And away we went. Spot on. I think it was as cheap as we could make it.
As upsetting as it is seeing the cheaters cheat, are you not proud of what you've done by
because I know 100% I've never cheated.
Were you competitive that year?
I think I did all right.
What
I had
positions?
I had a front row start at Croft.
That's good.
Probably finished. I don't know if I finished 4th or 5th.
Running top 5 in the super stock.
Yeah,
on a proper stock.
That's serious.
Good.
Yeah. Alex Galt, he was in it as well. Do you remember Alex Galt? Did mini bikes with him as well.
Is he over 6 foot?
No, he's.
Sorry, I only follow over 6 foot lads.
No, that was sort of the making of it, and then because everyone had gone R6 and they brought out that new R6 that was a weapon, everybody wanted to be on. I think Westy was on the Kame. Was it Kame Yamaha? I'm raking through like 11 years ago. You know, like, so that was the thing. Everyone needs to be on the R6, and we bought one off Rob Mack. I suppose we just leave it at that, really, because I just went and smashed myself to bits, and it was just a lot of Rob didn't do what he said he was going to do. You know, we got a bit of an agreement or a gentleman's agreement from a conversation that he would help us with setup, because that was what we were missing. I worked with the guy you worked with last year at the end of 08, Chris Sale. Mm-hmm. I worked with Chris towards the end of 08 and got good results. And I wanted to work with him in 09. He went to work with a guy called Nick Med. So that meant that I didn't really have Chris as my setup. So if we'd bought this bike through Rob, hopefully we were getting that support of the setup. So that was the decision we made. And from the moment that he gave us the bike, that was it. There was no help, no support. So again, we were back to just me and my dad turning up at a race meeting. Me not really knowing what to do. At this point, my dad had got involved again. Said, yeah, we'll have a do, you know. And we did 3 rounds. I think we did Brands, Donington, and Snetterton. We drove all the way to Snetterton, and on the outlap, a high-sider coming out of it. What's the chicane? Is it Riches?
Yes.
Yeah. First session of the day. And the thing just obliterated itself.
Was that when you walked away from?
I remember standing up and just going, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over this.
And you had is that your jet ski road?
Yeah, this was then when you go, right, well now what do I fill this gap? And I couldn't watch a BSB thing on Eurosport or hear Jack Bernicle or Witt talk for about 6 years.
Yeah, I can understand.
I just thought I've invested so much of my time and my life, and there was no one to blame other than myself.
And do you know when you're saying you were searching for something afterwards? Obviously, you mentioned jet skis. What else did you try?
That's that high. That's trying to just fill the gap into it. What do you do?
The adrenaline buzz.
What do you do?
Did you find anything else that come close?
Who the hell talked to you in the jet skis though?
I don't know. I probably watched some video and thought, oh, that'd be a good deal. I had a bit of cash at the time, so I just thought I'd buy one.
What do you do for a living?
That was at the time I was doing aerial and satellite installations and home cinemas,
you do.
and home cinema installs. And
Jesus.
that one. But I'm a tight ass Yorkshireman, and that one came up. I was just looking on eBay. I looked at Formula 3 cars, and mate,
how much were you making?
Not
enough audience.
I couldn't go and buy a Formula 3 car, but I was just looking at everything on eBay. Anyway, I found this jet ski over in Wigan. I thought, yeah, well,
were you pissed? Were you pissed?
No, I don't think I've had to think about it, but no, I don't think I was.
I think
that was a sober decision, to be fair.
Wow.
And I went over and I looked at it with a mate of mine, and I couldn't tow a trailer.
Hello, lads. Where did you drive from? Harrogate.
No, you never. I see. You don't.
All right, son.
Don't ever tell people from Harrogate because they think you got a load of money. So, anyways, drove over there, picked this thing up, and I looked at it. I said, "Oh, it looks spot on that." Anyway,
what do you know about jet skis?
I gave him the money, son. Put it on the trailer, got back in, and my mate went, "It's not the jet ski I'm worried about, it's the trailer." I says, "Right, what's up with you?" He says, they're like in dispension units, aren't they? So they don't have shockers, they've just on like a rubber bush.
Yes,
same as they haven't got chippers.
Yes, aye.
So he says, they're rooted. They're like, you put your finger through them. I don't know if we'll get home. I said, fuck off, they won't be that bad. We made it half a mile from my house, and the wheel fell off the trailer. Honestly. Half past 11 in the middle of Harrogate town centre with a jet ski laid on its side. Like, for fuck's sake.
People coming out the pub going, I had far too much to drink here. There's a jet ski in Harrogate. What we're doing here.
Oh, mate, yeah. And it went downhill from there, really. So, yeah, we did that. Bit of down and mountain biking.
Sorry, I'm just curious. You went out on the jet ski for how long? Like, seriously, how long did you have this jet ski for?
A year.
You had it, yeah. Thank God you said a year. I was thinking if this lasted 4 or 5 years, that would have been an impressive. No, it was a straight.
I dragged it all the way to Abersock, put it in the sea,
and regretted it straight away.
It made it about 500 yards out, maybe a mile, and then died. My mate had to tow me back in because I'd managed to convince him he needed to buy one as well, because I didn't want to be the only knobhead in Harrogate with a jet ski. So he bought one as well. He towed me back in, and I took it to a specialist over in Driffield or somewhere, and it cost me another 1,500 quid to have it engine rebuilt.
Hold on. There was a specialist in Driffield.
Yeah.
Jet ski.
Or Beverley or wherever.
You Yorkshire people are weird, aren't you?
That's what I mean, and that's that thing. You pack the bikes, and what do? You start just.
Did you downhill mountain bike and what else?
I didn't get far with that. So just mountain biking and cycling, and that was about it really. So, and then that was the grass track era as well. I had to do it grass tracks.
So
Just
how
nothing tickling the
Nothing
itch.
there. There's
Joe
just nothing
Akroyd,
there.
Joe Akroyd, the road racer. So how on God's green earth did you suddenly become a road racer? I want to know, what was the next step after going 6 years, couldn't hear Jack Burnicle's voice, nothing, you just went, suddenly, I want to have another do at it. Let's
the
go from
agreement
there.
was always with my dad that he would not support me doing the roads. He didn't want to be involved in that. So, too dangerous. He didn't want to be
See,
from that point of view.
you've talked about it a lot of times before.
I remember saying to my dad, I want to do the TT.
What
And he
age was
said,
this?
That was probably that stock 600 when there was like a bit of a... Because you've been there as a kid, so the seed's planted into it. You're thinking
18,
about
you're
it.
thinking, I can drink, I like women, I want to go race motorbikes around the road. There you
Yeah, yeah. I like curbs and hedges. So let's go have a do with them instead. Yeah, and he said, whenever I'm involved, I'm not going to be financially or coming and doing stuff for you, which I totally respect. I totally respect that. And, you know, some people might find that strange. I think it's, you know, fair enough. He doesn't want to feel like the drug dealer almost, does he? So,
Yeah.
and then I got an old boy local to me who said, do you want to come and ride a couple of classic bikes? And I says, oh, what do you do with them? So he said, well, we do the pre-TT, which you've done pre-TT a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he said, so the Southern 100, yeah. So he said, you know, we do that, and they do one down in Belgium called Chasin. Have you been to Chasin?
No, but I've heard about
It's
it.
cool. It's a cool little track. So that was my first road race with Chasin on
Never.
on a Suzuki T500. So drum brakes on the front of it and parallel twin two-stroke. Just like they're just old boys that just love tinkering. So they had this 500. I said, yeah, we'll have a rip on that. So I went down and did Chasin, finished second behind a pattern.
So hold on, I'm trying to get the time frame back online here.
So this was 2000 and... that was the start of 2015. Might have been the back end of 14.
So this was the step back in
This was
to
back
motorcycle racing.
yeah.
So you went straight over to Belgium, straight
Let's
back
have a
into
do
it.
at that, yeah.
Good lad.
Yeah. No,
Right.
I think we rode the bike at Teesside. That was my introduction to a classic bike.
That is the closest thing you're going to get to a road race. Let's face it.
Absolutely. So we did that, and he said, "Do you want to do Chasin?" So I said, "Yeah, all right, we'll do that." So I went down, had a ride around there, and I'll be honest with you, the first time I did it, I thought, "Oh my God, like these trees and." Just having a long time away from riding bikes, and then whether it's a classic bike or a modern bike, you're straight into having a big break, straight back onto it. And I always kept my ACU license up to date as well.
So even in the 5 years of you couldn't watch a BSB.
Still applied for it.
So you've
It was still being applied for.
The heart still beated for
You
it.
think
Still
how much is your ACU license cost you?
to actually get there, I totally 100% agree. You know, I know people who let it slip, but now you've actually got to go through retraining. You've got to do this. You've got to do. What is it? It was 25. Is it 50
It's
quid
a
now?
good-
It's 50
like
quid.
53 quid now, isn't it?
It's a good
So
little
God's
tip for
sake.
people that are maybe thinking about having a couple of years out.
I just
Always
keep it. You think how much money? I know a bloke who same thing. I mean, he's in his like 60s now, but up until probably 5 or 6 years ago, he will have had a his national road race license.
Yes.
And it's gone. You just think
All that
all
hard
of
work, that
those
money,
years, and you
yeah.
can't just waltz back in there, kick the front doors in, and say, "Give me my national back." Can you?
Oh no,
Do
you
you
have
know
to go
one time
retraining, school.
I did
everything.
a few races in Europe, the European Superstock 600, and you have to get a special thing from the ACU to allow, like a permission
To
from the
start
ACU,
permission.
right?
Yeah.
So you think you've worked really hard, you've kind of done quite well at Stock 600 in the UK, and you want to like move on to the next step, and like
Yeah.
you think the UK like sport and government body will really like want to help you get there.
Yeah.
Just to have the start permission to race one round in Europe, it's like
200
600 quid or something. And
You
you
see,
think,
I had to
come
get
on,
one
like,
for Jadine. Because it's repatriation insurance, isn't it? It's if you Joey yourself, they can
They
get
ship your
own
body
there,
home.
can't they?
It's
They
the
can
ship
get-
your body
yeah.
home.
Well,
Yeah.
no, because you get your own insurance. You like if you do track days, you pay for your own insurance. You
Really?
you pay for if you go to Almeria, you pay for like what's it called
Repatriation.
repatriation
Hold on,
insurance.
so what do you-
like if you crash, you get you get flown home or whatever.
How do you
pay,
go? How do you go about getting insurance like that?
You just pay it. Go online. There are there's loads of companies. 3 countries.
never
so
had
that.
to do that.
I've never-
Moto. Whenever you go to like say Cartagena or Almeria, you must get insurance so that if you hurt yourself, you get well.
Which
looked
one is it
after.
that sponsors you?
I'm
Yeah,
not
that's
trying to
it,
plug it.
that's it.
I think
Two companies there that got mentioned.
Name drop.
The main two are B Moto and 3 countries. I think that's who I've used in the past. Both of them have been.
And both of them can have advertising space here.
I tell you who,
Chasing the Racing.
I tell you, I might be getting this wrong, but do you know last year when the Gen 4s first came out, the Crow Performance lads went away, and what's the lad that smashed himself?
Willie Wilson.
Willie Wilson smashed himself to pieces, and they flew him home the next day and paid for everything. And I'll find out which company that was, but from that, all of the lads have always book with that insurance company because they're seeing how good. I mean, do you know how much a private flight is if you're going to pay for it? It's like astronomical.
Yeah, I'm surprised that's not a requirement because when we go racing Ireland or anywhere like that,
it's a requirement when you go to Spain. You've got when you sign on.
Thank God for that, right?
You've got to show insurance.
Well, that makes sense.
I've never ever had to do any of that. Never. Do you have to apply for a start permission for the Irish stuff? I haven't done any of the Irish roads.
You've never done any Irish roads? You say we're going to jump into that side of things in a second. No, I think you pay around about 700 odd quid for the whole year annually. No, for start permission. Because the TT is an ACU event, that's covered through your mountain course license.
Yes, it is.
So that's how that's covered. Same with the Manx. But the same with the Manx Grand Prix.
You're saying it's like 700 quid. It's still a hell of a lot.
No, it's still but when you're thinking, how much was that for the European one?
Years ago, it was like
Macau is 320 quid.
Yeah, well, I did the Phillip Island Classic. I've done it twice, but one time I was living in Australia in.
After jet skiing. So hold on, we've missed a huge part. Sod the race for a second. So hold on, how did you end up in...
That's another story.
We've got all night.
But when I went over to do that in 2015, I had to get start permission for that, and that was about 320 quid.
There you are. It's like proper
Macau money. I remember paying it and thinking, I suppose if I have to bring my body back, it's not a day.
That's all.
It's cheaper than an airfare if I'm alive. So
I suppose that's the thing, isn't it?
I didn't think it was a bad day.
But you have to pay these things to get them going. So no, it's interesting fact because I've never gone to Spain testing. Never done anything like that. So that was that. I thought when you went on for like No Limits, that's not a plug. That's not a plug. So we're like No
also
Limits.
Advertising space available.
That's it for the low price of it. But no, I've never done a Spanish test day or anything like that. So that's an additional cost on top of because the advertisement like 600 quid. But
I didn't realise that you had to then put that on top of that. I thought
So how much are you paying roughly insurance for like a Spanish job?
You can get an annual one, which is a few hundred quid. But
so me and him went to Cartagena.
I usually pay for like a 4-day event. I think you would pay something like 120 quid insurance
on top. So that's the money doesn't half rack up, doesn't it?
Still, well.
Oh no, it's interesting.
For example, you could do 4 days in Almeria with focused events. You do 4 days for 439, including that does your.
That's a plug.
Your track.
I know that's been like the way you've presented that. Then mate, somebody's put money in your pocket.
There should be.
Think how cheap that is. That's your hotel. To get the bike there and track time. Bear in mind, it's the hottest place it's the driest place in Europe, so you're not guaranteed for it to be dry, but you're like more or less. I think there's like 300 and so many days a year dry.
You've turned into a teacher now. You've managed to make track days boring. Interesting fact. Almeria is the first driest place in the world. Fucking hell.
It is one of the driest places. That's why, because I'm not into road cycling. But when I was over there, there's all the top teams in the world are there practicing through the.
They do altitude testing there, training as well, don't they?
And the road from Mohaca to the track, which is about.
Where have you got this written down, Chrissy?
It takes about half an hour to get.
What do you teach at school? Geography, maths.
Yeah, to get there.
What elevation out there? How many feet?
To get from
I thought you was about to say 1,208 feet.
To get from Mohaca to Almeria, it's a beautiful
I've done a bit round there.
Desert road.
We keep interrupting him, and he's still going. Go on.
You see cars up and down that have this like weird zebra-looking.
Things, and they're all doing all the testing, aren't they?
Yeah, when new cars like a new Range Rover comes out, they've got to do like 300,000 road miles. So they just go up and down all day. So you see like new cars.
Yeah.
But they're obviously not released yet.
Yeah.
But you can't take pictures of them because of the design. It like blurs it, so it looks. So do you know if the press got a picture?
We did a ride out there with the press for Triumph, and we went round the back because it's sort of in a canyon into Almeria.
Yes.
So we went round. If you were stood on pit wall and looked right in front of you, there's a big mountain range behind, like right in front of you. Behind there, there's some amazing roads, phenomenal
that's
roads.
Where the film.
And that's where all them.
Do you know the spaghetti westerns? They film them out the back of Almeria. There's like a museum. Do you know those films, not like the Western films. I don't know what they're called, but anyway, there's like a museum in a weird place. Such a weird place. Do you know if you go?
Dom, if neither of us talk, we can make him feel really awkward. We just keep looking at him confused.
Mate, I've been doing this for 2 years on this show now.
Oh no.
He's playing footsie with me now.
Just down from Almeria as well.
That's how you do it.
Is if you ever fly into Almeria, the whole place it's like the biggest greenhouse in Europe.
Yeah.
Do you know, for like tomatoes and stuff?
Yeah. You just seas of plastic, innit?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a
That's where I grow my bush.
A lot of African migrants come over, and it's basically like an African town. And they all work doing the. Basically like greenhouse work and whatever, but it's a weird place.
And you can't believe those. Have you seen it? Have you not seen them greenhouses?
Nope.
As far as the eye can see, just white sheets.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
Weird. And it's from where the sea is back to, because there's a motorway that we went on that would be, I don't know, it might be 2 or 3 miles from the coast, and from where you are on the motorway to the coast, it's just it's just a sea of plastic sheeting. You can't get your head around it.
I'll have to go see that.
There's also a place called Las Negras, and if you park at Las Negras,
a bit of accent on there. Spin it.
There's a little
Bale.
Oh, mammy.
There's this little village where the only way you can get there is either if you walk there or you get the boat there. So there's no electricity, there's no proper housing, but people live there, and it's a nudist place. So I went for a day just out of interest.
I bet you did. Passport in hand and nothing else.
You park up at Las Negras and then you walk. It's about 2-3 miles, and you come to this like.
Do you have to walk
little
naked?
bay. No, you don't have to be.
Get
naked.
some aggro sunburn there, couldn't you? 2 or 3 miles with that hanging out, eh?
And it's got a spring, a natural spring where people for drinking water, but the rest of it is people just basically live like the most sort of basic lifestyle, like no clothes, just live in the. It's weird. You've got to go.
I bet they're not stressed about COVID.
No.
They're not worrying about that, are they?
Definitely not.
I remember cutting a tree down by a nudist camp. I was at the top of this tree, right? I swear this is a true story. And I'm looking over.
And I'm all day to take one branch out.
Honestly, mate, I couldn't take my eyes off it. And the one thing that I'll never, ever leave my mind, it's branded in there, was this naked man, right?
I don't know if
pedaling.
all the rest.
No, you do. No, this naked man just pedaling on this bicycle all day. And the one thing I couldn't get out of my head was that seat.
Oh,
if that seat could talk, it would be screaming help. When I'm just going this street with that poor bicycle, I just couldn't think of nothing but this bicycle. But anyway, before we go down the depths of going from Belgium into road race and everything like that, so you work at Triumph, and this is where all the testing stories come from.
No, so I went to Australia and then came back from Australia, and it was a bloke who I'd done a lot of instructing with at Silverstone. He runs the Silverstone
and
track
you've been
days.
an instructor at Silverstone.
I thought everyone's done a stint at Ron Haslam or down at.
Nope, not me.
Have you done a bit for it? No,
I've done a bit of instructing, not there though.
I did a bit for Ron Haslam Race School when they were
not quick enough.
Silverstone, and then the Silverstone set up their own race. They call them track days. They're just a track day, their own track day. So they need instructors. So the guy who runs all that, guy called Alan Batty, he asked me if I wanted to go and do a bit with him. So I said, yeah, all right, well, I'll do a bit. He rang me and said, Triumph need another rider for these press rides they do. So every time they bring a new bike out, they take all the journalists out and they lead them out on a day's ride on the bikes, so they can, MCN go and fast bikes and all the rest of them. They all go out and do their their write up about them. And there's a lead rider and a tail rider. So I got asked if I wanted to go and do one of them. I said, yeah, of course, yeah, it'd be good. Sort of.
Well, hi, it's min crack.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get paid to do it, and it's abroad, and it'd be good cracks, and it's always in the middle of winter. So I said, right, that'll be sound. And I've done that for the last 3 years. And then Pesky, Pete Ward, he rang me just after TT last year. And they were just in the process of doing the development for that rocket, the new Rocket 3. So they just said, we just need more, another person who can just give us a bit of time. Would you be up for it? And I said, yeah, all right, fair enough. I was doing a bit of digger driving and a bit of landscaping. And
when you say time, is it just mileage work, or is it actually tested?
They do mileage work, but the work that we were doing was all on the track at Bruntingthorpe, so it was all track testing. So because I went in there as Mr. Newbie, I didn't get given particularly important jobs. It was more a case of there was myself, Billy McConnell, Pesky, and a lad called Dean Vale Onslow, he was a motocross boy back in the day. absolute weapon on a bike, and can give you feedback, pick up anything on a bike. He's ace. He's ace. Mega bloke.
Even from a motocross background.
Yeah. Oh, he's
Right.
outstanding. Phenomenal. He says he's shit on a bike, but he is fast. He's fast, but he's got so much feel and feedback as well. He'd tell you, he could notice the tiniest little vibration. That,
see, motocrossers would be able to do that because that in terrain that they race on, getting feedback from a motorcycle must be nigh on impossible. So
I would have thought the opposite. You'd be used to it going mad. That you'd think it would just silky
but
smooth.
you're trying to find them edges all the time. We're like on a billiard table, aren't we? When their tracks are constantly changing from corner to corner, from lap to lap to lap, you're trying to get a feel of what the bike's doing exactly underneath you, not really rather what the terrain's doing.
And them boys are going to notice little bits, I think, on... Anyway, he's mega at his job, so Pesky and Ons would be doing sort of the more detailed stuff, and then me and Billy would be just getting miles on them. But it's track miles, so everything that they do goes through a track testing procedure. So
what's Billy McConnell to like to work with?
I was going to say,
Bilby is the boy. Yeah. I love him. He's
What's
mega.
the maddest thing you've ever seen him do?
I can't talk about it.
Go on,
I can't talk about it.
I mean,
He's not shy about getting his bollocks out.
I've been on track.
Hold on,
with
we're talking
him
about a bike or actual physical balls.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Yeah,
I've been on track with him, and he just hangs it out all the time.
The lad's bike control. I have never seen anybody with more just natural ability and feel for a bike. I've never come across anything as a stunt rider, like you say. He would.
Is he a stunt rider? Could he be a stunt?
He could be a stunt. If he wanted to be a stunt rider,
but he isn't.
No, he isn't. No.
Yeah, there's a future for
my
you, Billy.
first introduction to him was at Almeria when we launched the Speed Triple that's out now, and he was running in some bikes. So there was him and Pesky, and then their Spanish guy. They were all doing the running in. And I was stood on pit wall, and I was looking the other way, and I've heard this tyre lock up, this screech, and it's Bill coming. He's come down the start-finish straight, and at Almeria it drops away, doesn't it? So he's come through where like the start numbers are painted on the tarmac with the thing locked up broadside, and he's gone full lock left, drifted it full lock right, and then just spun it round the end of pit lane, and then just come up pit lane the wrong way on one wheel.
How do you do it?
If I'd have done that, I'd have just high-sided myself. Probably put myself through the bridge. I don't know.
As you see it all the time. I'd love to be able to do stuff like that. Just fully boom, boom, lock it up.
But he just does it and then just gets off. And
but yeah,
it's cool as that.
He's a weapon. But he's a nice bloke as well. He'd do out to do. If he could help you, he'd do out. He could to help you.
Yeah, he's out.
What's interesting though is that style of riding. He doesn't put that format on the track. In a rate, he does it on the celebration laps and stuff like that and looks mint. But when you watch him ride, he's smooth as out. He can pull the trigger and then you know he's pushing.
But he's not shy getting the thing smoking either, is it?
No, it's mint, man.
There was something from Thruxton, was it last year or the year before? And he just comes into shot sideways with blue smoke billowing off the back tyre.
It's often his downfall. So tracks like Silverstone National and Thruxton. Yeah. To be fair, he was mega at Thruxton last time we were there, but because of his riding style, it's spinning the tyres. And maybe that's when he gets to super bikes, maybe uses too much. I mean, tyre conservation is a little bit more important in super bikes where they've been longer races. But it's so entertaining to watch, especially when you're on track with them.
And I'd had a chat with Dean Harrison, and I said to Dean, "Had you got stuck in a bit of a battle with Billy? Because Billy stepped up. Who did he take? Did he take Josh Elliott's place last year?
Yeah.
So he stepped up to Superbike, didn't he? And I remember watching that at Cadwell and seeing that Dean, and because Dean came like fairly strong in Superbike, didn't he?
He did, really strong.
And I'd seen Billy was sort of they were like 13th or 14th or something. And I said to Dean, "What's it like following Bill?" And he's like, "Fucking hell, it's just everywhere. He's just got it sideways. There's just smoke coming off, bits of rubber hitting you in the face." He said, "Just amazing to ride behind, you know." Yeah. But he's safe as well, isn't he?
Very safe.
To be fair,
you see, that's the thing.
I could do a full race distance, inches away from him, and I would have. He's never once done a dirty move on us. Nah. He's never done anything that I would deem as dangerous. He's there's a lot of respect.
And that's.
Ways, I think.
Go on, sorry.
Sorry, I want your honest opinion. What would he be like on the roads? It's not like a downfall to the lad's character. Far from it. No, he's safe. He's fast.
We did talk about it.
I'm surprised.
Davo told me he'd be dead.
Really?
Davo told me.
I'm surprised he's never done the TT. Maybe Davo's just saying that because he wants to keep the thing as being like top.
He wouldn't want to get smoked by the Bilby.
Go on. No, in your opinion, as a road racer, what do you think?
I don't think it's the place for Bill to go myself.
That's not a pot of Bill. That's not a pot of Bill.
Bill's riding style is that he's he's a phenomenal stock rider, isn't he? Because he can just get stuck in with him. I just think he's
a hell of a unbelievable pilot. But
I just don't think that.
You had a chat with him about it?
Yeah, well, like I say, we were having a crack about it one day, and that was when he said, Davo said you'd just be dead instantly. I think he agreed. I think he said, I don't think I'd last very long, which is...
He's done some things that have, like, I remember a couple of years ago he was riding the Suzuki at Thruxton, and I was going into the round, I was thinking, this track's probably not going to suit Billy, and the bike is like much lower on horsepower than all the other top bikes. So I was thinking, like, if there's any track that I think he's going to struggle on, this is the thing. And he smashed the lap record in qualifying and put it on pole. And I was like, oh, like how
wrong was I?
Yeah. Do you know, like, the other thing with Bill is he's so focused on his training. He's up at 5 every morning. He'll go to the boxing gym and he'll spend an hour in there, and then he'll go home and he tries to sort of eat. He likes to drink, but he tries to eat properly as well where he can, where he can. But he's so focused on his training, and when he gets into it, I mean, he had a burst appendix. Yeah, was that last? Yeah, it was last year, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Fucking
missed half the season because of that.
And he's got this horrendous scar down the middle of his stomach, and they had to put a drain in through where his belly button was, and he just got his head back down and got training. Just right, I'm going to get fit and I'm going to make sure I can get back on it, and fair play to him. Absolutely. Fair play to him.
Before your injuries, before we'll talk about later on, but what's your attitude toward training? Yes or no? See, I'm not. I just work.
Soon have a beer and a cup of tea, to be honest.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, I had a mate of mine's a personal trainer, so I did quite a bit in 15 and 16 when I knew that I was going to do the roads, because I thought, I've had a bit of a gap here from, if you're doing BSB, you're out on the bike all the time, aren't you? I think you just bike fit, you shout. I think the training thing's maybe a bit of a psychological thing as well.
Sure.
But I'd had a bit of time away from it, so I thought I'm probably as well, if I'm going to go and do the Isle of Man, I need to make sure that I'm focused on stuff as well. So
I see what you're saying.
If I'd one less thing to think about is your fitness, you're better on the bike, aren't you? If you're not blowing out your ass after 2 laps, then it's one less thing that you don't have to worry about. So I did put a lot of time into it, and in 16 and 17, I think I was, real fit. And then I had me crash at TT in 17, and just, I don't know, 18 took me most of 18 to sort of get back to a bit of just feeling
bit of bounce again.
Yeah, a bit of normality and dealing with stuff normal.
So before we delve into that properly, so you've gone to Belgium.
To Belgium, yeah.
Belgium, then the pre-TT Southern 100.
Did the Southern, yeah.
On the same bike, that two-stroke banger?
I did it on the T500, and they got a T20, which is a 250 version of it. So
right, so back on the two-stroke routes,
yeah,
and then
so which I just enjoyed the 2 strokes. Good crack.
So you've gone from Belgium to really the Southern 100, where there's only 2 walls, one on the left, one on the right. Now that would have been an eye opener.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what my first thoughts on that first lap was, Jesus wept.
It is class.
This is mental. But I enjoyed it as well. And I was riding with a load of old boys who were, these old classic boys. Some of them, they take their helmet off and you just think, you are too old to be, you should know better. They're so fast.
Just because it's a classic bike, the thing is, if you got on a classic bike, you'd be the exact same. No, you would. You push the bike, any bike you get on, and you push it. And that becomes fast.
Do you not think us modern lads riding classic bikes takes a bit of adjusting to? Because you don't really ride them like you ride a modern bike. You don't. Or my personal feeling was, you don't hang off them like you hang off a modern bike. If you start doing that, they don't generally behave all that well. Whereas you look at the quick classic lads, like Oversby's a quick lad, isn't he? Jamie Coward, he's not a massive hanger-offer on that Craven, is he?
Oh, nah, but then you put him on a modern bike and he's absolutely howling, isn't he?
It's the whole ride. There is like a different way of riding him, completely different way of riding.
It's that mindset round.
Yeah. So that was kind of your introduction to the roadside.
I'd already decided that I wanted to do the Manx. Right. So I'd said, well, if I'm going to do the Manx, I haven't done anything for that long. Okay, it's not like I can just say, can I go to the TT? I'm a nobody. So they're not going to give me an entry at the TT. So I spoke to a few people. I said, what do you reckon? And they said, best thing to do, go and do the Manx. Then it shows that you've
serious.
Yeah, that you want to do it. And also, you prove to yourself, if you have had a bit of time out. So I said, all right, fair enough. So I bought myself a 675, one of those XT3 bikes, because they're tall, aren't they? So I thought, it'd be comfortable for me being a tall lad as well.
Yeah. Plenty of grunt out the corners, drive them up.
That was 15.
15.
That was 15.
Was it a super sport bike or a stock?
No, just a stock.
So they only go up to 750s, but really the only bike that can do that are the Gixxers.
Yeah.
So people run 600s is like their top class.
But
really.
they do a junior, which is just 600s, and then they do a senior where you can run a 750.
750.
At the Manx.
Yeah.
So I said I'll do the junior and the senior and it was one step away from a road bike. It just didn't have a headlight. It was so bog standard. It was untrue, and I did 113 mile an hour average.
Never.
On it.
Fair play mind.
First time at the TT.
At the Manx.
Manx.
But
Yeah,
I never got a timesheet. I wasn't bothered. I didn't care. I thought I'm just here to have a rip round.
So your first lap was a 113.
No, my first lap was like a 105 or 106.
Mine was 74.
I think I did like a 75 mile an hour on your own.
On my own. That wasn't even
Really?
that wasn't even the Marshall lap. 74.
Really?
My dad looked at it and went, "You're never going to make a TT race." It's just
Was that when Malachi Mitchell-Thomas was doing the Manx?
15.
Yes, him and Billy Redmayne.
No, them two. No, them two were absolutely hammering off each other.
That was in 15.
So was that your first year
So
at
that was
Manx?
my first
So
year at
Billy-
the Manx.
So where did you finish?
24th,
Right.
23rd.
No,
something
was
like
that in the
15.
junior and senior? So
Yeah.
where did you finish in the newcomers race?
So I didn't get to
here
do
we
the
go.
newcomers
Eh?
because I'd also got somebody who'd said, "Oh, why don't you do the classic TT at the same time?" So I said,
Never.
"All right, yeah, well, I'll do the classic TT." I think I would have won the newcomers had I done
With your
I
lap
been
speeds.
eligible, but I wasn't eligible because I
Did the classic TT.
classic TT, and the way it worked out was that the lightweight race, I was on an RGV 250, which was a waste of time, but I didn't know what I was getting involved in. That was before the newcomers race, so because I'd already started
Yes.
a competitive race, I was
It
no longer
scrubbed you
classed
for
as a
newcomer.
newcomer, so I didn't get to
Got
do the
in.
newcomers race.
Oh well.
I do remember that year though. The Malachi and
Oh,
Billy were really
yeah,
lifted the bar at the
absolutely,
Manx, didn't
yeah,
they?
yeah.
Can you remember what lap times?
They both did the 120s,
21.
121s, yeah. They call it the Tommy Club, don't
The
they?
Tommy Club, I think
Yeah.
they banged out 121s.
Yeah, they were phenomenal.
They're
that
them
year.
two are absolutely howling.
Tommy after.
I don't know.
Oh, is that not a
No,
famous
I
Tommy?
yeah, it probably is, and I probably should know.
Yes,
but-
no, it was a Manx Grand Prix rider that breached if you do over 120 mile an hour, it's called the Tommy Club. And it
Because
was,
I'm guessing somebody.
the Manx Grand Prix that was years and years ago. We'll have to do a bit more. We should do some homework on the show.
Well, the thing I don't want to sound like I'm talking out of school, but the Manx Grand Prix lot didn't treat me all that well because I was doing the classic TT, so I didn't get invited.
Oh no! That's not a pop at him. There's a lot of politics. Two different chefs at the same table.
So the TT organisers also run
classic TT.
now run the classic TT, and the Manx Grand Prix is a completely separate organisation.
It's a club, so you have to pay entry to go.
So when I was seen to be doing the classic TT and the Manx, it was almost as if the Manx organisers went, "Well, if that's, let them boys look after you then." Because I never
That's
got
a damn
contact.
shame.
Well, I never got contacted to say, "Do you want to come and do your newcomers laps?" Because they take everybody over.
got
and they
like a
all get
newcomers
photographer
schooling.
together, photograph to get all newcomers get.
Was it a case of
pictures
kind of
together.
crossing
You know
swords
the
a
ones I
little
mean.
I know. I actually got asked to take that course. Right, everyone on my bus won their races. I've never been invited back. I was on the front of this bus. I took them all out in the pace. The next morning it was like that. Right, Ballagary, hold it flat stick. Just hold it, hold it to the line going through. And Jim Hunt is driving this bus, going, "Don't tell him that. It should be down again, driving it down like that." Straight in, look for the curb, hold it nailed, Dorian, hold it nailed, right? Every single person on my bus won. I'm telling you, every single one of them. Well, that's how you do it, son. Hold it nailed, son.
And after your first year, did you go back to the Manx or did you get an entry?
No, I did go back, yeah, and I just did the Manx. I got offered Alistair Seeley's Northwest 200 winning bike. So a guy called Steve Wheatman, who's a bike collector, he's the one that owns Michael Dunlop's XR69. He owns a load of classic Schwantz bikes and Sheen bikes. He basically collects them and collected a few Tyco bikes. So they had Seeley's bike. So through someone I was involved with, they'd got in touch with Steve. They were the contact for Steve, and they said, "Would you lend us the bike?" And he said, "Yeah." So I went down there, he was in Australia. This is where the Australia tie comes into it. This bloke was in Australia. He said, right, I've sorted it out with Steve. Go pick the bike up. So I've driven down to Steve's in my van, my Sprinter that's rotten. It's done 360,000 miles, and you can put your fist through every panel on it. It's rooted.
Still going?
Oh, yeah. It's
good lad.
Sweet as a nut.
Up for sale?
Pulled it, yeah, it is. Get in touch. Pulled up at Steve's house, and we loaded Seeley's Northwest bike, and as a spare, I only needed a spare set of wheels. He says, "Oh, just take the Laverty bike," and it was the bike, the Relentless bike. The Laverty won the British Supersport Championship, big gold #1 on it, full Motec, everything. I said, "I just need a pair of wheels, Steve." He's never met me before, don't know who I am from Adam. Yeah, just putting him in the shittest van you've ever seen. I was embarrassed. Anyway, loaded them both in. He said, "Right, have a good one." He said, "Oh, don't win on that bike though," because he said there were question marks over how legitimate the engine was on that thing at the Northwest. I was like, well, I ain't gonna win. I couldn't win a raffle. Like I'm not worried about not winning.
I saw that pit board go and roll the throttle. There.
So that was the run. That was the start of 16. I never rode the bike, never practiced on it, nothing. Went to the Manx, set off down the road on it. I had 2/3. I finished third in the junior. And I had no idea. I remember coming up the slip road. I didn't want to pit board or anything.
I'm over the moon. You're telling me this story because I told Chrissy, yeah, he's got the podium there. Got the podium, and you're like, finished 23rd. You know? I'm looking at Chrissy going,
first time.
There's me going like that, going, I'm so sorry, Chrissy. I'm so sorry. So yes, thank God you're on the podium. Yeah. Carry on.
So, and I had no idea. So I'd come up the slip road, and the lady steps out to point you into the holding area. And she's like, "Oh, I didn't
you're going to the dyno."
And I went, "No, that way." And she's going, no, now. Anyway, so that was mega. They seal the engine then, don't they?
Yes.
Because the seniors 3 or 4 days later.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, this is late. Fuck, we've just proper opened ourselves up to this. He said, "Oh, it'll be fine. Got third in the senior. That was it. We had to strip the bike down. Completely legitimate. So. Yeah,
oh,
absolutely
thank God
fine.
for that.
Absolutely. But there was
How much did that cost you?
I know it doesn't.
I'm not talking.
That's our fair play.
How much is the right hand you put it
in? No, but the good thing about the Manx and the TT, it's 100% strip every bike.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
the classic TT, they don't strip bikes. You've got to appeal the contest for classics, but TT and the Manx, it is 1, 2, and 3 strip.
They don't do that, the classic then?
No.
I didn't know
you have to appeal that. And that's only been the last couple of years.
Right.
I know.
So
drama.
So good, a real good Manx, and then were you not doing any other ticket? No British racing, or
you can chill out now.
Were you doing any club racing or anything to keep yourself sharp?
I'm trying to think what else I did.
Jet skiing.
Jet skiing. No, jet ski was long gone. I don't think I was really. I must have done something for the run up to it to get me
licenses.
But
signatures. Sorry,
I'd done
a few concussions by the sounds of it.
The Island Classic. That was the first year I did the Island Classic in Australia.
I bet that is good. I'd love to do that. I would love to do that.
Yeah, I just rode a 400, but in Australia, like their 400 class is still quite a strong. Like their racing over there is nothing like as strong as what it is over here. So the classes are slightly different. So I don't really remember seeing that. I don't think I ever saw a 250 Grand Prix bike. 125s isn't really a thing. They're pretty big into the 300s, I believe. So the 400 class is still quite a popular class over there. So I went over and did that and won and got a lap record. It was mint. Just a real good. We were only there 4 or 5 days. Just mega.
Then the locals chased you off for getting a lap record.
Yeah. Get on the boat. It was mega. It was
bloody
spot. Just a real good event. You know, we were in the garage with who was doing it that year in the big bikes. McGuinness, Hickey, Connor, McWilliams, and Glenn Richards. So they were the five. They were the five sort of, they were the ones in the Island Challenge. It was just cool being around them. You learn a little bit, don't you, from them boys?
Of course you do.
They've done it. Oh, Hillier was there as well. I like James. It's spot on.
He's doing the Dakar race, or is that being gone?
Yeah. No, it's next year he's doing it, isn't he?
Yeah, is it next year? Oh, so he's out training at the moment.
Yeah, he's training. Yeah. He's out in Dubai, I think.
Is that what Billy Bolton are doing? They've actually organised like a training trip. Or is it a different event altogether?
Well, they have to do a hell of a lot of training because it's, a massive challenge.
Of course it is.
I think he's been over recently. There's actually a little shout out. There's actually a podcast where he's talking about it called Douglas to Dakar. in Dakar. Sorry, Douglas to Dakar.
This is Hillier on the podcast.
Yes, on it's the OMG podcast.
All right. Oh, by the way, we're number one podcast.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit, we're recording. We're number one, mate.
Even
Number.
people like me that nobody knows.
That's it.
Did get a podium once.
Yeah.
I did get a podium.
Max.
All right, at the max, yeah.
Good lad. Thank God.
And so the following season, did you go to the TT?
Yeah, so I remember walking back up through.
Got a podium here. Let's go up.
No, I remember walking up through the pit, and Paul Phillips, who is Mr. TT man, he said to me, "Will you be at the TT next year?"
Really?
Yeah, and I said, well,
I'll have a think about it.
I said, well, the thing is, we were moving to Australia, so we were going to move over there, but the intention was still to come back and do the TT. But we just felt that we wanted to move out there. It's one of them things that people think about doing a lot of the time. They talk about it. We said, right, bollocks, we'll go do it. So that had already been all put into place, and our flights were from the Isle of Man to Heathrow, Singapore to Australia. So we were leaving, so I said to him, I'll come back, but I said, I'm not going to be in the UK, and you guys take a while on confirming entries, don't they? You put your entry in January or whatever it is.
Yes,
they don't confirm it till
March,
March
end
or
March.
April.
Yeah.
So I said, the bike will have to be on the boat in February if we're coming from Australia. So he said, you've got an entry.
Wow.
And I remember going back to the house that we were staying in like a dog with two dicks.
I bet you
was
were,
just bouncing.
I'm still thinking I might not get an entry if it goes next year. Never mind. There's Mr. Paul Phillips going. They are. Don't you worry, Joe.
Oh, it was mega.
So hold on. Let's talk about your phone, because you've got a little girl, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
So how old's your little girl then?
2.5.
Oh, 2.5. So this
this
is before she was a twitching you.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah. How she didn't come out any deformed anything. The amount of painkillers I went after my crash, but that's when the consummation happened.
Was it a case of you'd been racing over here for years, like super stock things, and then eventually you did one race in Australia, won lap record. Right, we're moving to Melbourne.
World domination. I can win over it.
I can win over there.
It's like trophy hunting on a whole new scale. Let's go to the other side of the world.
Got to make Billy McConnell my bitch.
So, and was it a case of turning up with your own bike there, or were you in a team, or what was the crash?
Where in Australia?
At
TT.
The next TT, yeah.
No, the next TT. So the guy who I was involved with in Australia, we did it from his workshop. So he ran a motorcycle workshop, and we said, wouldn't it be cool to build a bike in Australia using Australian suppliers, do the proper Aussie thing. So everything that goes into that bike, as much as we can use Australian, why don't we do that?
Running on Fosters.
Running on Foster, they don't drink that. Whoa, don't offend them. So we said, yeah,
we're long past that now. Let's face it.
We said that'd be the cool thing to do. So that's what we tried to do. And to be fair, there was a few decisions that were taken out of my hands that, with regards to the building of the bike, and there was certain aspects of the bike that I would never have gone down the road of fitting certain parts to that bike that were fitted. Okay. So anyway, things got fitted to it, and I think we were working together. We were trying to run the racing thing together, and I was feeling like I sort of lost a bit of my confidence over there. You're not surrounded by your mates, you're not surrounded by normality. We had a real tough time of getting stuff started over there, and just lacked a bit of confidence, where now I know I'd stand my ground and say that's not happening over there.
I know what I want in the bike, and I'm going to go with that.
But at the time, it was there was a lot of things going on, a lot of things that had happened, that I think I just lacked the confidence to stand my ground and say, we are not going that. I've made my point, but I didn't enforce it. So we put the bike in the container February. That went in the container. So then you've got to sit until TT going, what do we do? And then turned up at TT17. We still had the 600. That was still over here in the UK. So we still had use for that again. Stu Johnson had built the engine and rebuilt
the trumpet.
No, the GSXR, the Sealy bike. Okay. We still had that. So that was like, we know the 600 sorted. We're happy with that.
What 1000 were you on?
GSXR again. So that Elf, I forget what numbers they are.
Just an Aussie special.
But to be honest with you, that hadn't really worked out quite how I think the plan was.
So you've not really talked about your 1000 experience, so you didn't have a big pile leading up to this then?
No.
So straight into the TD, into the deep end, good lad.
Right, have a do on this then, and we didn't even get a lot of testing time on it in Australia, because their tracks over there, in Melbourne, you've got Phillip Island, or you can go a little bit further north and there's a track called Broadford, which is like Three Sisters. and then there's another one called Winton, which is
thousands of miles apart. Or
no,
something.
that's a bit like Three Sisters as well. They're like, I mean, they run V8 supercars around them, but
Pretty Mickey Mouse, really.
yeah,
compared to the
naturally
European
little third gear, second gear, third gear, first gear.
That's a bit of a shock, actually.
Nothing that you'd use for the TT. And as it fell, by the time the bike was built, there was no Phillip Island track days. So Phillip Island probably wouldn't have been a bad one to go and get sort of get set
the
up for
flow.
stability. You know, fast corners and big change the direction at fast speeds. It'd have been a good place, but it didn't happen. We didn't have that option. So your
In the
head
deep
sort
end
of
off your
gone
gut.
bang before you even get there. Turned up at TT, did one lap on the most unstable thing I've ever ridden. It was over Crosby. The thing was tank slapping going up to Crosby.
That's normal, isn't it?
Shouldn't be tank slapping on the way up to it, should it? Through DJs.
Oh, no way.
And then
Oh,
up,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then you should just be sat there nice and stable. This thing was...
I need to readjust my bike.
They get crossed up over it, don't they? But
Yeah,
this thing was absolutely tying itself in knots. And I
no.
came in and I just said,
I'm not riding it.
more than anything, I'm bollocksed. I'm blown out of my ass. I couldn't hang on to it because around there you need something that you're not fighting with.
Mm-hmm.
It's fast enough that you just need to be putting input in, don't you?
Yeah. And the
That
worst
was
thing is
just-
you'd be getting on your 600 that you knew, which an old slipper, and it would have felt like a sofa.
It was
And
mega.
bah.
I think I did 123 during practice on my 600 on the 600. You know,
That's the chemical reaction, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get off a missile and you get on a 600 and you're like,
well, you just get to corners like Gorsley, don't you? And you just think, oh, this is a dream on this, and just tip in. Whereas
Oh,
on
it's
the big
mint.
bike, so it was one that I actually said I'm not riding that. That's the thou. Anyway, but it was suspension issues is what it was. So we went to Olin's and I said, I need to buy a proper shock for this bike.
Mm-hmm.
So that was where I was overruled. And they said, we can get you on, but because it was bank holiday, we can't get you on till Tuesday.
oh.
So he said,
That's
give
the
us
first
your
superbike
shock.
race. Would
Yeah,
it be?
yeah,
so
it was. So
Monday
he
would have
said, if you give me your shock, I'll set it up. So this was the Friday of practice. He said, I'll set it up on our dyno so you've got a similar curve to what our shocks come out at.
So hold on, this is the Friday before the first race on the Saturday. Is this correct?
Yeah.
So
No, because qualifying was on the Saturday.
so you got qualifying week. So the worst thing is you can get in his situation on a motorcycle and you've got to be ready to race before the final qualifying. You know, mentally, you've got to think the bike's there.
And we hadn't done 4 lap. We hadn't done a 4 lap, you know, a 2 lap fuel and a 2 lap. We hadn't even done that because I kept saying the fuel tank isn't blown. We need to blow the fuel tank.
24 litres.
And that got ignored. And I said, what are we going to do?
So what? You were
Mate,
going around
it
on the
was-
7. No. You're going around the 17-litre tank.
Yeah.
But that was never going to work.
No.
Ever.
And that was discussed in Australia and nothing got done about it.
That was just simply not. You can barely get wrapped. The mad thing is, anything below like 125s, 124s, you use more fuel at a lower speed.
Yeah.
So you'll be getting to
'Cause
the
you're
Craig
constantly
off and on, off and on. The faster you go,
up
the
and down
smoother.
box and
That's it. And it's
So
surreal.
it's a
that.
case to sort of fail to prepare. And it
Yeah,
was a bit
massively. And it just fell on its ass. And the sad thing is that the people that we were involved with, when we got to Australia, without them, we'd have been coming home straight away. They did think they were so good to us that I think that was part of where I lacked the confidence to put my foot down.
Yes.
But it was on a different thing, and I should have done. I should have had the bollocks to say,
I love your debates, but
yeah,
this
and
needs to
thank you
change.
so much for everything you've done. But we're talking about my life and bikes here, and that is not happening. And I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So I've learnt a lesson. But I'd gone all a practice week with this bike, just with us
Wanting
just
to
going
kill you.
backwards, just not getting any better. Me getting more and more frustrated with the situation. We ordered the shock, but he'd said if you go out on the Saturday morning and do your qualifying laps, and we can park the bike, we'll miss a race, but we've done the qualifying then, so we don't even have to start appealing things. And I agreed with it. I said, yeah, fair enough, I'll go out and I'll wobble around, do me 4 laps of qualifying.
And this is after them fiddling with your shock. Yeah.
And then it all went wrong. What did I do now? I did 2 laps, came in. In fact, no, I did 1 lap, came in, did another lap, came in, fueled up, and I says, right, I'll do 2 laps now. We'll see if it'll do 2 laps on a standard tank. And I went through did a lap, came through the grandstand, and thought, well, I only have to do this one lap, and then I can get off this heap of death. I just can walk away from it until this new shock turns up. And I got to the end of Glentrammon. So all that real bumpy bit, past the council store, you know, the salt store dome, that little left kink there, sat down on its ass, and that was it. I had to jump off. So I've managed to get the bike upright and managed to get the brakes on and then wash the front.
That's 6 gear.
Wow.
No, that like on a bit.
It's you go back one, don't you?
Like,
back to one, and then you're into that left.
Thing is, so like
speed.
170 plus the VAT.
Yeah.
Like,
It's gotta be, hasn't it?
like you're coming out of there, right? You've come through like the the Ginger Hole section. You're going through there now. If you go through there 80% throttle, it feels the exact same as 100%. So you go through at 100%. You're driving. It's a blind crest, and the confidence comes on a 6. You're totally nailed up. Front goes light, and you nail it through the left, and it's boom, brake, bang, 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 bang,
Into
3
that
in.
right-hander, don't
But
you?
on a big bike, you're going in, and it's not even a comfort roll. It's wham, off, back one, eyed up, straight on. His shock is collapsed. Holy fuck!
And then you know where the white wall is on the left, on the right. Sorry, as you're going through the left.
Bearing in mind the road, literally. So you've gone
drops
through a
away,
blind, and the road drops away again. I mean,
So very lucky to survive that.
mate.
Should have come back in a box, 100%. Yeah. I went
So-
down so I slid and I hit the curb with my ass. I still remember going in and having the brakes on and the front washing on me, and I had the bike in between my legs.
On its side.
On its side, I'd crashed at this point, but the bike was still in between my legs, and I remember just looking at the trees coming towards me, and I remember hitting the curb with my right leg and my ass, and then everything just went black. And I remember, it's weird because I remember thinking, there was no panic or anything, but I remember sliding thinking, this is all going to go black and quiet, and you'll be dead.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You thought that?
Yeah, and
I know
there was
you
no
do.
panic.
I've done that.
There was no,
How many times have you had that?
just that once. That's
I've
the
had
only
it-
time it's happened.
I've had
And,
it twice.
It's, you don't panic, do you? There's no.
It's surreal.
You almost just go,
That's it.
I'll just sit back and I'll have a dart and a whiskey.
You do. I
I'm
just
dead.
think Sinatra.
I'm dead.
Sinatra.
It's the strangest feeling in the world.
Mate, no, bearing in mind, he's had I will show you an onboard later on, and we'll put it on YouTube or like on this edit of this exact section, and you've had time to think that.
It was.
What
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 injuries?
was it? Yeah, what was the injury?
So I broke my coccyx sacrum, which is S5, where your hips join to your spine. Broke that, and then it was
Are we talking gravel break or a clean break?
no. My coccyx was a clean break. My sacrum snapped in half, and then T12, which is the big vertebrae right in the middle of your back, was a burst fracture, they call it, which is basically
Gravel.
just compression, and it just blows it to bits, just into lots of little bits. And I didn't see that X-ray until 2 weeks after when I left the hospital. And I said, "Can I see my X-ray?" And she went, "Yeah." She brought it up, and I said, "Jesus Christ."
Do you wish you saw that?
It's-
No.
It's what it is. It didn't-
Curious, because I bet you'd look at that at a party and go, It is what it is. No. I know where your
Yeah.
mind's at. You look at it and go, I kind of wish I didn't. Ignorance was a little bit more
Yeah,
bliss.
but it probably was.
Were you
But
kept in Nobles for 2 weeks, or did you?
no, they
He's just got out. He's here tonight. So thank you for joining us.
I remember coming round face down with my visor like hanging off, and my arms, because my arms were down by my side. And I remember hearing a Norton come through, and all I wanted to do was take my visor off properly, and I couldn't get my arms from my side up to do that. I couldn't, because my back was in a million bits. So the marshals there, they turned me over. I don't remember getting into a helicopter, and then they airlifted me to Nobles. They chopped everything off and then said, "We're going to have to get you out of here to Walton Centre, which is in Liverpool, which is a neurological centre." But I says, "I can feel my toes, I'm all right." 2 dudes came in and fingered me. I'm like, why are you doing that? You know.
It's amazing what spectators get involved with, isn't it?
You look really familiar from back then as well.
Good times. Good times.
Yeah, so that happened. And like, because I'd never had a big one before.
What finger or crash?
It's all about the timing.
First big crash.
I've never had like a big crash like that before. You're not used to the fact that. Have you ever had any big ones? No, we won't talk about it because it's a jinx. But have you had big ones?
Oh God,
like
it's minting it.
And you
I get fingered regularly.
You go into hospital and you're like, oh no, you can't see that, and I'm not having that done. Mate, if you have a big one, just get off the bike and just let them do whatever they need to do, because they've seen it all before and they'll have seen a smaller one. They're not. Do you know what I mean? I was laid there. I was arguing. They said we're gonna have to catheterise you before we put you on the flight.
What does that mean?
Stick it up down your
Jap's eye.
Jap's eye, young'un.
So you can't. Yeah, exactly.
So the weird thing is you have no control over your bladder. It just fills.
But he says. I said to him, I don't need a pee though. And they're like,
you look at this
no,
bag.
You can't go on a plane until you've had a pee. That's all the morphine and everything else. And you've been in the hospital now for like an hour and a half, 2 hours while we organise stuff. And we're gonna have to do this. And I said, look, get me a bottle and I'll take it. I'm doing everything I can. To stop this thing going down the front. Pulled this curtain round me, and I says, it's a fucking democracy. You can't do this. My mate's just popped his head in and said, just have the fucking tube put in. I'm like, right, mate. A mate of mine did professional BMX and he snapped his femur, and he said when they catheterised him, he said the doctor had said to him, when it feels like it's coming out your bum, tell me to stop. So I was freaking out. I'm like, oh, he's going to push his tube and it's going to feel like it's coming out my hole, and my head had gone. This old boy just says, look, it's not that bad. It was horrendous.
It's already out your ass.
It was horrendous. It wasn't nice. But because you were an old boy that had done it before, it was in. Like, he just got it over with. So that was like the first, you're thinking, oh,
true violation.
You sent me knob and just after that, mate, you just give up. Just anybody wants to come in and give you a wash, they give you a wash. You just give up. It's just
he's chucking his yogurt on him. That's where I get it there.
And then we're in hospital for good.
So they then drove me to Ronaldsway, flew me to Liverpool, and then it was 2 weeks over there where they did spinal surgery to fuse the bones back together in my back. So they left.
You had the scaffold work put in at that point then?
That was the first bit of scaffolding, yeah. But that's where I was glad to see me x-rays, because I'd dislocated my shoulder, I'd banged my head, I got a big hole in my knee, all of my right side was just black. So starting to try and tell your head that you can walk again is a hard thing to get your head around that, because everything feels like you shouldn't be putting any weight through your body. But I remember one of the nurses coming in and saying, we could pick you up by the metalwork that's in your back. Don't be letting that affect your recovery. Don't be thinking, oh, I can't walk, I can't walk.
I'm fragile.
Yeah, he says it's all welded together. That is so solid. He says we could, if we wanted to, put hooks in there and pick you up by it. So I was like, oh, fair enough. So, that.
And was you young and conceived after all of this?
Yeah. So, as I said to one of her mates, because she's a hairdresser, so I remember going to the salon, and one of her posh mates said, I thought you broke your back. I said, I did. I broke my back, not my knob. It all still works. I can still root. Do you know what I mean? You find ways around it, don't you? A man's got to do what a man's got to do.
So, no. I want to talk through this sexy scene with the missus here. So it's a bit like, Joe, I know you're...
It was like watching Mr. Burns off The Simpsons trying to do the job. That's what it was. It was horrific.
Excellent.
She needs a medal for even being able to let me go through with climbing on.
Fair play. This show is obviously dedicated to your missus, so fair play to your missus.
Yeah.
God love you, dear.
But when she said like I'm pregnant, I thought, oh Jesus.
Did you high five yourself mentally? You did.
No,
come on,
this chimp's going to come out with all sorts of extra limbs or bits missing off her. All sorts. I was on a lot of morphine, and then I got hooked on tramadol as well. So the only way I could deal with anything was tramadol and whiskey, mate. Talk about dark places.
Mate, it's a Sunday. I've been on this for fucking half an hour already. So
horrendous. So then, when she said I'm pregnant, I'm like, oh my God.
Did you ring a doctor? Did you ring your doctor and say, look, I'm caked here at the moment. I've just
Do you know there's a massive opioid epidemic in the US from them? They use much much stronger things than tramadols, but basically once you get them, you hooked. They're much more addictive than heroin.
What are they called?
They're called Oxycontins.
Right.
Oxycontins, and in the US,
you get them on eBay.
In the US, they've got a huge problem, massive problem with it. Yeah, huge problem.
Bloody hell.
Oxycontins. You'll know. Did it take you a while to get off the tramadol?
Oh, horrendous! Climbing the walls, it's awful. And you just have to make a decision to go. I'm not doing this. We got a dog, and that for me was because when we were supposed to be living in Australia, so we was like loads and loads of dollars into thousands of dollars into doing our residency at the time that I had my crash, and all our life was in Australia. So
I actually totally blanked out the fact that you were living in Australia.
So I'm laid in a hospital bed in Liverpool, saying to my missus, I can get on the flight in 2 weeks. You know, when we're due to go back, I'll be able to get on the flight. I'll be fine. And they're saying you can't fly for 4 months. So she had to make the decision. She went home. She went back to Australia on her own, sold everything, all our belongings, the whole job lot, and got back within a week and a half. And in the meantime, I was sleeping on a mate's sofa when we busted back.
Your mate put you on the sofa?
No, I was in a really
I thought you were about to say, no, he's not your mate anymore. I don't blame
He was in a tiny little bed. But, you know, he saved our ass for a couple of weeks. And then you just feel like you've maybe overstayed your welcome a bit. So it worked out that there was 3 people that we knew that were all going away on holiday at individual times. That meant that it gave us like another 6 weeks of staying at people's houses till we had to then find like a permanent solution, which meant we ended up moving into a static caravan. It was just like, Jesus.
You've got a right life story, haven't you?
It was aggro. It was aggro. But I was at I remember being at my mum's. She was away, and I've been at my mum's, and Zoe went to work, and she came home from work, and I still hadn't got out of bed. And she says, you know, this is not healthy. I said, well, what do you want me to do? I can't even bend down to get a bowl out of it. You know, I can't pick a plate up from a cupboard or anything.
God, he must have been like in a dark place.
Just horrific, just horrendous. Like my mates would be ringing saying, you know, obviously I haven't seen you for a year. I'll come around and see you now. It'd be good to catch up with you.
No.
You don't even want to see your mates. It's weird. You know, your best mates that you've grown up with, you don't want them anyway. You don't want to see anybody. So then she's like, well, if we get a dog? I'm like, oh, I don't want a dog. I don't want a dog. Anyway, we got a dog. Best thing we ever did. Gives you a focus, doesn't it? Gives you a purpose, a reason to get up. So
Click, buy, deliver with the 2-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester, Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin, the Racin.
So we've just had a little tea break, a few biscuits and a cup of coffee.
Quick piss stop, obviously.
I know, is that all the stories talking about the old getting the what's it called?
Catheter.
But we kind of got up to after your big crash, your big recovery and whatever. How long was it until you got back onto 2 wheels?
Probably about.
Sorry, I've just got a biscuit jam in my throat. So, sorry. At that point, did you want to get back on a motorcycle?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there was
because that's incredible. Because it snetted, and you were talking about when you crashed and the bike got damaged, not you.
Yeah,
and it was very much a very decisive.
I'm done. I'm
over done.
It. Yeah.
I've had a moment, and you think with a 5-year gap.
Yeah.
Now everyone will be listening, thinking, "Well, that'll be him done, surely."
Yeah.
But
no,
that was interesting.
I didn't know. I think I was, because I felt like certain situations had been removed from what I felt like my control.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want it to end like that, and I didn't think that wasn't my choice. You know, things hadn't gone the way that I'd planned it, and how in my head I would have done that run up to that event. So
unfinished business.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I felt like I needed to go back and, you know.
But being honest, though, like, was any nerves part of that? Like, of course it would be. That's a stupid thing, but it was a case of lying in hospital, like 2 weeks in. You've just had the surgery. You've seen your back. You've seen all the damage. You're at home. You've conceived a beautiful little girl with a missus. You've got a dog, and you think, nah, like, there is no doubt in my. Was there any doubt in your mind at all about getting back on the bike? No, 100%.
No,
just a case of when.
And it's strange, isn't it? After that gap, that if there could be, maybe the gap is the reason there wasn't a hesitation. You know, from if I hadn't had that time away from it, maybe that would have been the time to go. You know,
the straw that brought the camel's
now. I don't want to do this anymore. But I think maybe, in hindsight, talking about it now, maybe the fact I've had that gap. Subconsciously, I know that I can't. I really struggle without it. What the hell am I supposed to do? You know, and time will be a thing, won't it? You get older and your body hurts more and you get slower, and so that'll be a contributing factor to why everybody packs in, isn't it? But for me, no, that wasn't. That wasn't.
Just when it came back to riding, was your injuries an issue? Were any of your injuries an issue?
No, not really, because the first time I rode was the Triumph press launches I got asked to do, and my first ride back out.
So hold on, this was the job. So we're trying to put the timeline together.
So
I kind of jumped the gun with the Triumph job. So when did the Triumph job come into play then?
So I first got asked to do the press riding with Triumph in November of 2017.
Right.
So that was after the crash at TT in 17.
So like you say, Chris, sorry, interrupting Chris's question prior. So what was the time gap between damage, dog, the lot? Like, when did he get back on a motorcycle?
From smashing myself to getting back on a bike,
Yes.
it'd be 5 months.
Wow.
That's impressive.
No, but it'd probably be less than that, wouldn't it?
Very impressive considering what a massive crash it was.
Yeah, it was 4 months. It was 4 months.
Wow.
It was 4 months. We went to Almeria, and I came out. I said, "Yeah, I'll be fine. And the guy from Triumph rang me. He said, "I understand you've had a bit of a crash." I said, "Yeah, I'm gold."
It was a little.
It was nothing. It
Little
just
front
slipped off. Yeah, wash the front. It was, low sides never hurt. It's a dream. Yeah, I says, I'm all good. I'll be fine. I thought, oh shit. And we turned up, and there's Billy, Gaz, Johnson. Who else was there?
So Gary would have been aware of your crashing.
Yeah. Pesky was doing it. I'm trying to think who else was doing it.
How many people at this party were aware of like
Oh,
how
they
big?
all knew that
how big it
I'd had a
was.
crash, yeah. And we've gone out the front of the hotel, and you have a few days at the start of the event where us lads have got to
Get
go
pissed.
and learn the route, and get pissed. It's just a stag do. No, we have to go and learn the route. So that was the first day, and I just says, "Boys, you go ahead. I'm happy to sit on the back here, and I'll just see how I go." And that was probably the only nerves was. I'm in Spain and I'm in too deep now, so I'm hoping my body does hold up to this. And I was fine, absolutely gold,
Mint.
no bother at all. It didn't affect me when I was riding the bike. It didn't really affect me too much afterwards. I struggled with things, but not to the extent that you
must
just
have been
find ways around it.
overcompensating your body. Like, I'll grip harder to take the pain out my back. Or
Do
something
you know
like
what?
that.
Billy actually, he followed me for a few laps, and then he did sort of a bit of a Yoda chat with me, and he just says, "Oh, you're doing this coming off the turn," and he I think he just relaxed me a little bit,
Actually reminded you that you are a racer.
and I can ride a bike, and I'm not made of glass, and so that was good of Bill to sort of just give me.
And the following summer comes around. Was it straight back into the TT?
No, so I sat out 2018 because. Although I'd been and done those events, that's very different to go and doing the TT. And I knew that my physical fitness wasn't where it needed to be for me to go and do the TT.
Yeah.
And I think you're a prick if you line up on that grid and you are not 100% to be riding that bike. Mm-hmm. Fair enough, lads go with injuries. I'm not knocking that. But I knew that I couldn't do 4 laps holding onto that bike.
Safely.
Fair enough. I tell you
So-
what, it takes a bigger man to say that, mind. It's
That's
not like you were
not-
knocking it on the head. It was just like...
No, it was... Do you know what? You're not... There's too much at risk, and it's not just round there. It's not just you. Mm-hmm. You either take out a row of spectators, don't you? Or there's so many variables of risks, isn't there? That
you need to be 100% mental before...
Yeah.
Mental and mentally strong. There you are. Sorry. God, that was a deep dive into my subconscious there, wasn't it? There you are. I am 100% mental and mentally capable of this.
So... was this, so you missed, was it 2018?
18, yeah.
Back in 2019.
19.
On what bikes?
On ZX10 and on...
Was that the People's...
No,
it looked like
that was
a
going to
black...
be this year.
That
should have been this year. So 19 was a ZX10 which we got from McAdoo.
Yes.
Through a sponsor. He purchased a bike because I couldn't afford to go and do that. And then we still had use of the trusty GSXR, the 600. We still had use of that. So it was, again... a good, we knew the bike. We know that we don't even have to think about the 600. And I did say to the guys, and I said to Zoe, my other half, I said, look, I am more than prepared that if I do a lap and I think I don't want to do this, I'll park the bike, because if it's not there, it's not there. And I did a lap, and I thought this is the best thing in the world. I just want to keep going. So I think I did all right. What did I finish? We had a nightmare pit stop in the. Stock race. Now I had to miss the super bike and the first super sport race because my brother got married on the Monday, and I had to fly.
Inconsiderate.
I had to fly home for his wedding.
Is he still married?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
damn
told
it.
him
A part of you wanted to go no.
Yeah.
You're like, God, I hope this you're sitting there with your missus going like that, going, I hope this fails.
Is there anyone you know that you would miss a TT race for a wedding?
Anyone I know that would miss one?
No. Is there anyone that
you'd miss one for?
That you would miss one for to get married?
I wouldn't miss a single one.
There's not a rate. Like if anyone in my family was getting married or anything, I would.
Mate, that's where I was at, and I says to my brother, "I'm not coming to your wedding. You do know that." And he's like, "My brother is the least emotional person in the world," and I says, I'm just not coming to you. I want to say funeral. It's good as, isn't it? I says, I'm not coming to your wedding. And he said, I remember his reaction was like, and he just sort of didn't say anything. And then it got talked about again. I said, I'm not going. I said, you know when the TT lands. I said, come on.
It's totally his fault for planning it.
And he said, well, I didn't know you were going to go back there, did I? Last time you were there, you ended up in a hedge back. I said, well...
And your brother tried talking to me, you prick.
We could have had a conversation, is what I said. I think I was more diplomatic than that, Dom, to be fair.
Who worded you into Goldman?
Who do you think?
The missus?
No.
Him?
No, who's the one person that you'd have to listen to?
Your mum?
Yeah.
Really?
So my mum doesn't often get involved, but I got a phone call and that was it. Yeah, my mum.
Joe, it's your mother.
Oh, it's Joseph. It was Joseph. And I was like, oh, shit. We got the full Christian name.
Was that the worst wedding you've ever been to with just on live?
Yeah, it was.
And the bride making...
Every photo I'm like that.
Any objections? Damn it!
No, it's one of them. Isn't it? He was good to me when I was laid in hospital in a million pieces. He was good, and your family's still there, isn't it? When the racing's done, your family's still.
You are doing well to say this through gritted teeth, aren't you? You are doing outstanding.
I'm struggling with it. Yeah. But it's done now, and it happened. We had to do it. So.
And give a little shout out for, I know Chris Sale has worked with you for a while, and I've worked with Chris, and he stripped that bike and rebuilt it.
Yeah, so we got the bike. Didn't really know anything about it, and Chris is. The way that bloke works is phenomenal. He's just so methodical and unflappable. You can't get anything emotional out of him from a negative standpoint. I just think he's fantastic, and I just said, would you be prepared to build the engine for the TT? And he said, I'd love to. So yeah, he just prepped that bike. He built the engine and sent me away, and he said, I'm at the end of the phone, you ring me if you need me. And
that's a huge confidence boost, isn't it? The fact that you can leave an engine on, it's going to be right.
Yeah.
And that you just think...
It was mega. And I know that he watched every session on Lifetime, and he was...
Was he at the wedding?
Just check it. No, he didn't go to the wedding.
William Yorn.
Send your selfies from the TT.
And did that TT go pretty good?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, finished 18th in the senior, so I was happy to get into to
after the years that you've had running up. That's a hell of an achievement.
Yeah.
What's your fastest lap?
It was 125 or just shy of 125.
I'm not being funny, but I bet the fact that you got on the ZX10 with the sheer stability, just going up the cross
just
speed,
lovely.
And I bet you just the second you went off, you went, oh.
And I don't think I ever got it dialed in bob on. It was shaking its head a few places where I could have done without it. Start and finish.
To be fair, that's a ZX10. But the mid corner end, I'm a huge. I like the ZX10. It just
never did anything that you sometimes ride bikes, don't you? Where you go, oh, why has it done that? Why,
predictable.
This thing just everything about it was predictable. It was loads of feedback as well, so you knew when you were just getting a little bit too far with it, and it was mega. And I have to be a shout to James Hillier and Phil Biggs, his mechanic, because James had sort of seen the turmoil that we'd gone through in 17 with the complete lack of communication between myself and the other people involved, and I think he'd seen that frustration, and I'd said to James, "Were you being on a ZX10? Do you think you can help me?" And he said, "Yeah, just go and speak to Phil." And I remember saying to Phil, "You're paid by Bournemouth Kawasaki to be here to look after James. At any point, if you need to tell me to walk away or go away, you haven't got time." I said, "Tell me, I'm not going to be offended." And he said to me, "James and Dale have asked me to look after you, so that's what I'm going to do." And we'd have been knackered without him. Physically on the bike, he didn't do anything. I prepared all my own bikes, so I was the one that went through them. But from a technical standpoint, Chris is amazing, but he wasn't there. and I could go and speak to Phil and say, Phil, it's doing this and it's doing that.
You need someone on the ground.
Yeah, and he was able bring your shock to me, so get the shock out, and he'd have a look, and and as a rider, I didn't want to get too involved in the setup side of it, because then your head's gone, you're thinking about that rather than riding, aren't you?
Sure.
Which I think that goes for everything, whether it's short circuit or roads. I think
you need to unplug your cell and just go
and just
go
ride
hard.
the bike.
Aye.
Just ride the bike. So that was mega, and I think we'd have really struggled without that. So I think they're a mega team. Them both Kawasaki guys, they're human beings.
Hey, you're doing a good job bigging up for our sponsors here, Colchester Kawasaki.
Speaking of which, I've
been serious, bigging up the Kawasaki. It's not a rival team or anything.
I don't know.
No.
All right, I thought you were having a snide dig at me there.
No.
Anything Kawasaki, you shout up.
A lot of people, and on YouTube, and people have been asking and saying, don't Colchester Kawasaki have a superbike team and stuff? They've sponsored lots of teams in the past and sponsored lots of riders.
Right.
But then themselves are a dealership.
Yeah.
They're like Bournemouth Kawasaki are a dealership and a team, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
or world team.
Yeah.
And speaking of the Bournemouth Kawasaki lot, the signing with John McGuinness, you two, obviously you've worked with him at the BSB and that.
Name drop.
For you, hey, there you go. But so how did that madness come about then? Was it through your grandma and granddad moving to Morecambe? The two people in Morecambe that could speak English.
And aren't related to the person they're married to. No, I don't mean that. I'm sorry.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Shit.
No, I'd met John at Phillip Island, and we'd been out on the piss in Cows with James and Connor and just had the crack. And then after my crash in 17, he'd obviously had his crash at Northwest and made a mess of himself.
And the drug problem.
Well, he got in touch with me. That's not right. He tried to get in touch with me through Becky's Facebook, and he'd spent ages writing a message, and then I don't think he'd sent it, or he'd sent it, but I was too drugged to find it. So for whatever reason, we still hadn't sort of communicated at that point. And then I went to the Classic TT in 17, which is 6-8 weeks afterwards, and he was in his mobility scooter, and he just hollered me over, and we had a good chat, and then he sent me his number, and he said, just ring me if you need anything. Yeah. And he says, I'm going through all this shit as well. Hutchie was going through it. It's him and Hutchie were talking in the middle of the night when they couldn't sleep. And I kept ringing John for a bit of moral support, really. It's hard when you're going through those times of being smashed up. You think you're the only person in the world, don't you? So it was sort of nice to do that. And he was just at the end of the phone. It was at the end of the phone. He got me some treatment with the Simon Andrews Fund, because I didn't know who to. The NHS don't want to help you. Mm-hmm. They're not interested. You're a motorbike racer. It's self-inflicted. You're a twat. Simple as that. For me, I needed some support, and John said, if we get onto the Simon Andrews Fund, and it was actually, again, a photographer on the Isle of Man, Ian Proctor. Do you know Ian?
I've heard the name.
Diamond Geese, who does all the photographs in Park Ferme and the Holding areas.
Yes,
all the sort of
yes, aye.
So he was another one that said the Simon Andrews Fund. So John sorted it out, and I had some treatment with a company over in Manchester that look after all Red Bull athletes. Danny McCaskill was there one day I was over there. That was quite cool. So yeah, John did that, and he didn't have to do that. I wasn't ringing him saying, John, I need your help, I need you to do this. He's a human being, and it just so happens that, he's my hero from growing up, and I've become friends with him. I just get on with him because we have the crack. He's just good crack.
He is good. But at the end, we another name drop. He came on a show, and he invited me into his home, and we just did a podcast. He's there to help people out. But that is it's so good to hear, because there's so who isn't a fan of John McGuinness? You know what I mean?
Do you know what? I always think it doesn't matter whether who you are. There's always somebody there to try and put you down, and the people that try and put that bloke down
get shot in the face.
But they put him down for what? They're just looking for a reason to put a decent bloke down. You just think, what's your...
But people know that. If you know what I mean, people know that, don't they?
They do. They're not,
right?
Yeah.
And John, and I hope John knows that, and John does know that. If you know what I mean, they're just picking fun at him for the
yeah.
Trying to get us to his mind.
Yeah, he's just he's tight as anything. Fucking hell, he won't buy a new coat because they're £30. I mean,
he gets given everything, though.
Exactly, but he won't buy a new one. I went and saw him the other day, and he's wearing this pair of jogging bottoms that just look like they'd stand up on their own. They're just, I'm like, what are they? I says, what are they? And Becky's like, what? He's just a normal bloke. He's a normal bloke, and I'm just like I say, he was there for me when I needed it, and then we've just kept in contact, and he's just a good person. He's just a mate. I get on with him. He's a good crack, and that's why when Brands came round, obviously I crashed at Scarborough 8 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
And that was a big one. And I have to take responsibility for that. We had issues with it. Sorry.
I tell you what, just before you mention the second Scarborough, because the first Scarborough was the first time I've seen you race in person.
On the pipe boy.
You rode extremely well. You had a few close races in a few.
We did,
the 600 race.
It was good crack, wasn't it? That's the first time you and me have properly sort of got stuck in together.
We did
Southern.
Yeah, you got a podium there as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Third place.
Yeah, a couple of thirds. It was good. I enjoyed it, and I was a newcomer to Scarborough last year. I was a bit unsure about whether I wanted to ride around there. You know, it's not a particularly flowing track, but it's that's somewhere I've grown up with because it's only 45 minutes from where I live.
That's the thing about Scarborough. It's like there's not many riders that think that suits me.
Mm-hmm.
No,
because it is stop start fire. But then people just go and they
go well
and,
there,
and they go well. But it's not just that; it's just a competitive playground. Yeah. And when you get a taste for it,
it's the only place we can go and do it on the roads, isn't it? It's the only place we can go and do road racing over here, all as a mass start. We haven't got an option anywhere else, have we?
That's it. You're going to do the okay, quick. This is a proper quick fire question. You're going to do the diamond races.
What's the diamond races?
Oh, fuck you then. Right, we're going to skip that question. Oh, no, Isle of Wight. It's not ending. Well,
I'll be up for
right.
that. Yeah,
brilliant,
definitely,
fantastic.
If it happens.
So, like Chrissy was saying, you were talking about that was the Barry Sheen Classic.
So that was the Barry Sheen. So I built a Triumph 675 at the start of this year. Cause
beautiful looking thing.
The GSXR sort of done more than it needed to, really.
Yeah.
So and I've always liked them triples, and I just became quite heavily involved with Triumph as a company, doing the testing and developing with them. And I just thought I feel a bit hypocritical here that I'm going every day to work for Triumph.
Did you buy a brand new road back and convert it, or did you buy a race bike?
No, you can't buy brand new 675s.
Right.
So
not anymore. You can't.
No. So I bought
That's a damn shame.
An Gaz Johnson TT bike because it had got all the right bits on it.
Did that have a John Trigger engine?
No, it didn't have a
What were the shim stack heights?
Don't talk to me about shim stacks and gas. I can't do it.
Carry on.
You know exactly what we're talking about. So I bought the fucking shim stacks. Jesus. Everybody knows about the shim stacks, don't they?
Shim stacks. So carry on.
So I bought that bike because it had everything on it that we needed, which was it had
shim
super
stacks.
sport engine, the right shim stacks, good linkage. It had everything on it, and then got a brand new frame out of Triumph, so we knew the history of it. So we knew the frame.
What have you had that bike on the dyno?
I haven't, no.
Do you know?
But I've got about 136, 135.
That is a tasty
I think
motor.
that's good out of a super. It's. I think it's been tuned with reliability in mind.
Yeah.
But it's
which is what you
strung out.
At the end of the day, you're on a budget as a private.
You probably could get maybe 140 out of it, but then it's
you're starting to get to the edge of it with
exactly.
it, aren't you? And for me, I didn't want to be chucking engines at it because again, you can't get engines. Yeah. They're like rocking horse shit now. So.
The 600 class is dying on its arse, isn't it?
It's
a damn shame. It's such a mint class.
I mean, I bet that bike is suited to Scarborough as well, with it being low gears and torquey.
You'd think so, but it's hard work off hairpins. Them Triumphs are hard work off the hairpins because of the torque. So you get nothing, and then the thing's coming with that much torque, it just wants to wheelie. So when you boys on the 4 cylinders come out and you drive, you keep driving. I come out and I'm just short shifting and stamping on the rear brake because I can't get it to drive forwards. And Mike Norbury,
I like getting your excuses in early. I'm
a racer, you've got to do, haven't you? I'm trying to think what else shim stacks were wrong.
Should have rang Trevor there.
What were you going to say about Strawberry?
So yeah, Norbury.
What do you think of his girlfriend? He likes her.
Who? Which one?
Well, the new one. The new one.
Mike's?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Lovely.
Lovely. Well dodged. Carry on.
What did you ask me?
I was asking about, you went to say something about Norbury, following Norbury.
Oh, yeah, so even he'd said to me, coming off those hairpins, the thing it's just pitching all the time. So we need to get that thing nearer the a setup for out those hairpins because I get murdered out the hairpins on that bike.
Right.
That's where I lose all my time is coming off those hairpins. So we need to spend a little bit of time, but we did no testing on that bike.
And the second Scarborough, obviously
going into the Gold Cup.
Gold Cup, you came out of there back in hospital. Talk us through the crash.
So it was a Saturday after Friday, wasn't it? Yeah.
So Friday we put a different clutch in because one thing that I was struggling with at the Barry Sheen was coming into them hairpins trying to get the bike stopped. it was chattering and bouncing around everywhere. So I said, right, we need to go with a slipper clutch. So we went with a particular brand, and the Friday was horrendous. So we made some big changes, and I think it was better. Unfortunately, I didn't have Chris with me on the Friday. I had my good mate Ty Kinton. Ty.
Teeth, tits, and tan. He's got
good-looking bastard,
honestly, he's got the best teeth ever. Like, you can't help but look at him. He's
weapon on a pit bike as well. Absolute weapon on a pit bike.
He dished it out to Hickman on an Ovalie at Teesside there. The boy can ride it. But I tell you what, though, he might as well have tits, because I just stare at his teeth. He's like, my eyes are up here, Dom. I do. Honest, his teeth are like that helmet looks tanned.
What's wrong with him?
His teeth are
mate.
I've got, honestly, there's plenty wrong with me, to be fair. But I tell you what, look him up on social media. His teeth are like, bing.
Well, he came.
He'd be laughing. He listens to this, so he'd be like, you dick.
He's fairly good with the spanner, so he said, I'll come and give you a hand for the Friday, because
he's a proper nice lad,
and he's mega. To be fair to Ty, he's walking into a paddock to do a road race.
Never done a road race,
exactly, and on a bike that he's never touched before. So we did everything that we could, but I just needed Chris there for that download. We made all the changes, and I rang Chris and talked through things, and Ty was mega, because he said, you have your conversation with Chris and I'll just do whatever needs doing to the bike, which was mega.
Ty's a guy you can trust, isn't it? And that's what
I
you
never
need,
even had to second guess what he'd done on the bike.
Exactly.
Because everything's right, and I know that everything was going to be right. That was why I'd said to Ty, can you come and do it? Because Chris can't make that Friday. But I just needed that side of having a crew chief where you just have that download and the backwards and forwards.
And that 600 race was pretty, the pace was hot, wasn't it?
It was savage.
So you had Dean and Lee, and then you had
and then there was
Dom, Norbury,
me, you, Jim Hines and Norbury, wasn't there? And then Joey was off the back a little bit on the Saturday, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then on the Sunday, something had clicked again, and he got up to speed. But yeah, the first race on the Saturday wasn't too bad. And I'd said to you, hadn't I? I said, I can gain on you going into them farm bends, into that last chicane. I says, I can make a lot of time. And that particular lap, when it went wrong, I don't know if I went back too many gears or got a false neutral or what, but right at the crest of the hill, the thing was tied up in knots, and it came right round on me at the top of the hill, spat me over the top, and I landed in the bottom of farm bends. Is about 8. It'd be about 8 foot difference, would you say?
No. From the
it's a good drop.
When you stand on the tarmac with your feet, you look at the bottom of that dip. You're putting 10 foot. I'm not even exaggerating. 10 foot. Now, general high side. How high does a bike sit off the ground? Would you say no saddle? Have a guess.
3.5, 4 foot. Would you say where your arse is?
Yeah, where your arse is.
Yeah.
So bear in mind, the bike is exaggerated to enough that you had full hyperextension on your toes. So your arse is another foot off the seat, and then it's gone.
I remember
full
seeing,
ejection, so you've gone bang.
I remember seeing the yokes and the tank disappear underneath my ass because it came right round. I just remember going up and over in it and watching the fork, the top of the fork.
Did you come straight down on your back as
well?
well?
So it spanned me. It spanned me a full nearly 360, and then I landed on my ass in the seated position, square on my ass. So it's just pushed all the force of the landing has gone straight up and through my back. It's got to the bit of my back that's already welded. And that bottom vertebrae, which was L2, it's just blown it to bits. And I knew as soon as I hit the ground, I knew I broke that.
So no, this is what I'm trying to paint a picture for. Like, now, this is a full-on motocross crash. This is a motocross crash on tarmac. Yeah. So you have not had a roll away, anything in the gravel, nothing, because of the actual terrain off the track. You have come to a full immediate.
And
stop,
and it was
and
a full stop.
Now, bearing in mind, you're coming over there 5th gear, aren't you? You hit, like, is it 5th or 6th?
Well, you come over there and 5th.
Jeffrey's jump 1, 2, and then you're coming down the hill. Normally, back 3, 2, and you're boom, 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 and you are absolutely hossing down there. You're doing 130 mile an hour easy coming down to there, but bearing in mind, you're just giving it a handful of brake, trying to scrub off. You're still jumping mid corner.
Yeah.
I'm not 50. You were scrubbing a lot. It's got to be quicker than that, hasn't it? Because you are still breaking down the hill going like that.
Yeah.
You've ejected at gear 2.
Yeah.
It's probably not the speed that it's just the drop in it.
It was just one of them
But you-
violent,
no, you had
eyesights
everything.
as well, and there was one of them. It could have happened anyway. It could have happened last turn at Alton Park. It could have happened at Paddock Hill Bend. It's one of
But
those,
there is no. That is the only place in the world with a drop like that.
Yeah, I
It is.
suppose.
In
Yeah.
terms of your injuries, like obviously you smashed the did you say L12 or L2?
L2.
L2
L2 is what I broke.
and
yeah.
was that the only thing that you broke?
Yeah,
in that?
not a scratch. I thought I punctured my lung because when I landed, my back. I knew I broke my back, but I couldn't. I was winded, but all my breathing was really crackly. And I know a lad who wore one of those air vests. He crashed, broke his rib, and then the air vest went off after he'd broken his rib.
And cracked it and
pushed
punctured
the
it.
rib into his lung. So,
Oh, Jesus.
And the way I was breathing with all the crackling, I thought, oh my God. And I said to the medics, my back is broken, but I said, can you just check my breathing? Because I said it's really, really crackly. And that was what sort of panicked me a little bit.
I think I'm
Because
stopping
I'm
here.
thinking, I can't get my breath, and you sound like you're bubbling almost.
Now, here's a question. Did your previous crash at the TT make that situation worse?
Yes.
The scaffy made it worse,
Yeah.
that injury worse?
Yeah.
Right, on what term?
Because it would have, that energy couldn't dissipate anywhere. So it's got to where it was welded, and there's nowhere for that. All your vertebrae that should do like a spring and take
but-
impacts and compress together. Who knows?
No,
Maybe I would have broken something, but it would have been a fracture rather than a.
At that pace, mate.
And
I'm not
did-
being...
yeah,
No.
Did you have to go in for
Where you
surgery
came
after
off.
then?
Yeah. Well, he gave me two options. They took me to Scarborough, and they said, we've done a CT scan. It's busted. So they rang Hull, and Hull said, bring him down. So they took me in the ambulance, and then in the morning, I didn't see a surgeon that morning. I saw him, I think it was Monday morning the surgeon came in. So I had to be laid flat on my back.
Good morning, Mrs. Akroyd. It's Mr. Yeah, that's what you think.
A catheter again. So that was, yeah. And again, this time you're just like, whatever.
Not my first time. Slap it in there.
I even knew it was sat in Scarborough. I was
a bit
like,
slack, this.
He's going to do it. He's going I knew he was going to do it. And I just said, yeah, just crack on. Just do what you need to do. Well, it didn't get any better. But, yeah. Jesus. Yeah, so surgeon came in Monday morning, and he said, you've got two options, which is you can lay on your back for 6 weeks here in hospital. No, you cannot be upright, or we do surgery. And I said, I want your opinion, because my surgeon last time, I said, what would you suggest? And he said, I can't make suggestions, but if it was me laid there, I'd, the way he worded it, this guy would not give me any guidance at all, which is fair enough. His professional dignity, I guess, was at
Yeah, but as a human being, that's shit.
but
So thank you
that's
very
what
much.
I wanted.
How do you decide with no like at least with his knowledge he's got a
Well, his words to me were, if you lay flat on your back, then there is a risk that we have to do the surgery anyway. You might get infections from the catheter. There's a risk of infection from that.
You might lose your dick. So on, we've gone from
blood pressure issues because you laid flat on your back again.
You're going to get a heart attack,
So
right? This is number 2.
You
Carry
may
on.
well die laying flat on your
And
back.
you're going to, right, fantastic. So
He didn't-
third.
he didn't
So
say
this
that.
is foot.
But he says, but with the surgery, we've got risk of paralysis, risk of nerve damage, risk of hitting a.
This is back
vessel.
surgery ticking boxes anyway,
You
isn't it?
die on the, you die on the table and we can't do anything. Worst case scenario. He said, I've never had anything go wrong. This is our bread and butter. And I'm like, Jesus, I know they've got to tell you all of it.
Legal,
but
yeah.
I just said, what with the break and what I'm going to ask you about doing in the future, what do you suggest? And he said, I'm not helping you. And this is where John came in, because I rang John. I said, my head's gone here. I don't know what to do. And he said, let me get in touch with Connor. So he got me Connor Cummins' number, and he said, Connor says, send him a message. So I sent Connor a message, and he said, ring me at this time. And I rang him, and I said, what the fuck do I do? And both Connor and John were just at the end of the phone. I think I'd already decided I needed to do the surgery thing to get back on my feet and get back on with it. But they were just there to help, reinforce. Do you know what I mean?
No, to be fair, they are credit to the sport.
Oh,
And
they don't have to do that, do they?
No, they don't have to do that. But the
After
thing is, heaven forbid, if anyone goes through an injury like you, you're gonna, kindness passes on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I bloody hope you do anyway.
100%.
It's mad how
Dom flashes up on your phone. Fuck you off there.
that Scarborough meeting to me just does not feel like long ago at all. What was it?
No.
8 weeks, and we're sat here and like it's not like you're doing star jumps, but you just sat here like to think what you've been through in the last 8 weeks.
I had.
Were you back on?
At home? I had 5 weeks 5-6 weeks where I had a week in hospital and then 5-6 weeks of doing what I was told basically.
Mm-hmm.
But then, how like you still got to pay the mortgage. The baby
you do.
still needs nappies. You know.
Just
What did you?
do you have insurance, by the way? Personal accident insurance?
Yeah, I've got combined insurance that pays
Is
out
that for the Ben? Aye.
but it only pays you for broken bones. It doesn't pay me for loss of earnings. Combined
Yeah.
Insurance of America.
So did you get decent?
You not got that?
Did you get a decent thing for
Me
your
neither.
back?
I got Jesus. Do you want me to write down the figure as well, or shall I just tell everyone?
That's up to you.
I didn't.
I'm not bothered.
I didn't get the payout that I got because I wasn't in hospital for very long.
Mhm.
The payout that I got is less than what I would have earned if I'd have been able to carry on just doing my work.
Yeah,
if
so
I'd have carried on grafting.
Yeah.
So I've come out
Don't
of
think
it
you're
where
100
I'm
grand.
sort of.
Yeah.
It's a hard life, you know.
See, I've like.
You live to your means.
See, I've had a couple.
Lamborghini's out free, mate. You know.
Do you know, I used to pay for this insurance. I can't remember the company, but I used to pay.
Yeah, you do. But you're not going to put it out there.
It was something like 14 quid a month, but for every, like, for example, if you fractured any bone in like your hand, you got 1,500 quid.
That's what
You
combined is. Combined is, I think, minor fractures are.
Your femur was like 10 grand. Backs would have been like
these aren't
15,
that.
20. Like,
I think it's 750 quid if you break minor, like your fingers, and if you break a major, which would be your arm, your leg, your hip, your back, it's 1,500 quid, and then it's 750 quid per surgery, and then
see,
I tell you
Right,
what,
so
you're
this-
yeah,
this
mate,
insurance
I'm
that I-
sorry, I'm over the moon. He's saying 1,500 quid because I like when I lost my finger, I thought I've lost a fortune here, not being insured. So
Nah.
1,500 quid, mate.
No,
no,
this-
you've generally cheered me
no,
up.
this,
I'm
this
so
insurance that
happy.
I was on, so I was paying 14. I think it was something like 14.29 a month, and the payouts were like massive.
Yeah.
I had a crash at Cadwell Park once, and I fractured 2 bones in my hand and fractured a wrist. So like not massive injuries, and I got 1,500 quid for my hand and 1,500 quid for my wrist.
yeah,
Dislocated shoulders was like $1,000 or something. It was like massive. It was like
Yeah,
big
yeah,
money
yeah,
for
yeah.
injuries, and then they must have realised, you know, to
Motorcycle racing's dangerous.
yeah
Yeah.
every year I was getting like a good few grand and paying like, you know, like a couple of hundred
Yeah.
in each year, and then after a few years they must have realised they'd priced it wrong, and,
Well,
and then
Combined-
the premiums went massively
Combined
up.
have stopped doing it now.
Yeah,
So
I'm not surprised.
I
for
had,
bike.
No
um,
shit.
But I'm on a policy that if you took it out, they can't take it away from you. But if you cancel it, you can't reset it up again. So I had a loss of earnings one that I cancelled before I went to Australia, thinking, I don't really want to be paying, like, what do I pay? I think for that it was like £35 a month. The one I'm paying now is like £54 a month. But
In our industry, though, it's worth
See, I
paying
don't
out.
have it.
the
I
biggest
don't-
mistake I ever made was not because I spoke to them when they gave me my payout the first time round. I said, "What about loss of earnings?" And they said, "You had the policy for loss of earnings,
Cancelled
but
it.
you cancelled it." I said, "Can I set it up again?" And she said, "We don't offer that policy anymore." So the one I'm on now, I won't cancel it. I won't cancel it. But
See,
it's-
I don't have anything like that. You see, I remember the firm's name, but yeah, you see, I had a few people who were within that company. They were getting injured and they weren't paying out at all, and then loads of hassle, loads of this, and I went, yeah.
I have to be fair.
Mine
Combined,
was-
like I thought they were going to do me for a night in hospital because per night you're in hospital, but my paperwork had me down as being in 5 nights. And actually I was in 6 nights because one of the nights they didn't count was me travelling from Scarborough to Hull. I left at like 11:30 at night and I got there at 1 in the morning.
Oh, for God's sake! So they
it's got me as being admitted to Hull on a particular day. I thought they're going to have me over for that night. And they didn't. It was all my doctor filled everything out. And I got what, you know, what I was supposed to get. So,
Yes, yeah.
you know, I can't complain. I've been able to cover my bills and sort of still.
You've got a family to run, haven't you? You and the missus.
Jesus Christ,
What
yeah.
did your missus think of all this then? So, like, you know, from the first crash to the second crash, it's a bit
Yeah.
like, well, you're still together, so she's obviously a strong woman to stay with you.
Must
So,
put quite a strain on like
Must
your
do.
family
massively,
life.
massively. I mean, I've been with her 13 years.
yes.
And I remember saying to her when we first met, "Look, I ride bikes," and she came to Donington.
There's 2 things I'm going to ride. Bike's one of them.
operator. Innit? I definitely wouldn't sleep with you if I was a lass. Not with
Mate,
like that.
if I was a lass, I wouldn't sleep with me either.
And the first experience she had a bike was coming to Donington when I was doing Stock 600, and I put myself into the barrier there at Melbourne Loop, and I said, "This is how it is," and she accepted that. The TT crash, I think in 17, was a bit of
an eye opener.
Yeah, she wasn't keen on that, and that took a little bit of not. I think it was more her getting her head round. She knew that I was going to go back to it, but accepting it is something completely different. Sure. But she never kicked off with me or anything.
That's what I mean about the strength side of it. That's where the strength comes from.
She's been gold about it, to be fair.
Good
and even when Indy came along, my little lass, that hasn't changed anything from. I don't know anything different. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. I don't know.
There's nothing else in life that you get the same buzz from.
No. And I love them to bits. And I would die for them. But what am I supposed to do in my spare time?
Well, no, it's not that. Would your family rather see you happy? Yes or no? There we are. Exactly.
She's probably isn't going to be capped if I pull up with another jet ski, is she? She's going to say, "What?"
Mate, I'm not going to be capped. Mate, I'm just hoping I'm on the piss one day in Harrogate and I see a jet ski and I'll be like, Joe, what have you done? What have you done? What have you done?
No, she spat a track with me this time. She did spit a track with me this time.
For the Scarborough one?
Yeah, I had to let her have a bit of a rant at me, to be fair. She was more than entitled to,
They put up with a lot. Riders, wives, and girlfriends.
Massively.
We should get a couple on the show at some point.
No.
Zoe'd come on and probably have a rant about me. Fair play to them.
It takes a special type of woman to.
Selfish sport, isn't it? Yeah. What a selfish sport. We are a bunch of selfish bastards.
Yeah.
But, But we don't know what else we're supposed to do in life.
Yeah.
So
it's like it. It definitely takes a special type of woman to get involved. And as a woman, it's if to pick for picking a husband, your motorbike race is not a wise choice. But
I spoke to Coops a bit after he's got his legs smashed up. I dropped him a message.
He's engaged. He was supposed to get married this year, wasn't he?
Was he?
Mm-hmm.
No, was it? Yeah, he was engaged. He's been engaged for a while.
That's why he had his hair transplant before to prepare for the wedding.
Right.
There we go. So yes, you were saying.
But I got in touch with him because I always think when these lads, when we have a crash like that, and you sat at home and you're thinking you're the only one going through it, like John did with me, to just reach out.
Yeah.
I thought, you know what? I feel a bit bad that I haven't me and Coops have met a bit because he does a bit with Triumph as well.
Yeah.
So, I just dropped him a message, and Ben Shuttleworth, Ben's going through it as well. He got both his legs chewed up real bad there at Scarborough that was at the Barry Sheen. He ended up in the back of someone's bike and he's done both his legs, and he's going through it. So me and Ben have talked quite a lot, and I think you find a bit of strength in that, don't you? Your missus is absolute gold because she's there waiting on your hand and foot because you can't do it yourself. But it's still good to just speak to someone as well who's that's a big thing about bikes, that not to get all deep and meaningful, but I think there's a big gap in probably in racing all around the world, but I think for us what's relevant to us as British bike racers, I think there is a big gap in the sport for looking after lads psychologically after they've been beaten up.
Yeah. Because
the places that you do end up, and
they're dark, aren't they?
Yeah, and there's never anybody. There's nobody there. There's nothing other than what you find for yourself. The ACU don't ring you. No, with all due respect, nobody from Scarborough picked the phone up and said to me,
"How are you doing, son?
What's going on?" I had a text from somebody who's involved, and I said, "I broke my back." Oh, it didn't look like that bad of one. And I
You're
thought,
joking.
No, and that's what the response was, and I just thought, and John said that. Because he'd fired like a piss-taking text at me, initially saying, what have you done now or something? And then it was only when because he'd spoken to one of the officials who said, oh, no, I think it's just a couple of ribs. Now, whether they did or whether they're just sugarcoating the job, I don't know, but that always pisses me off with that side of it, because how do people know how to reach out or support somebody if that's what they're told? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I hope you heard your well wishes and your shout outs on the podcast
I did.
at the time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But it's never there, is it? You text me while I was in hospital, didn't you?
Yeah, explain the bump that's in the bottom of that hairpin now. Then no, I know you've got to have it. You've got to have it.
There's maybe a room for like maybe a charity or something in that department.
And it's something that I could get involved in that.
Well, no, but I think you're doing the right thing. I think we just need to, like what we're doing right now. I think we need to be a bit more open towards each other. And I think me personally, if I get injured, I didn't tell anyone about. I see it as weakness.
Yeah.
I'm being very honest. I see that as a weakness. If I knack myself, I don't tell no one.
No.
Because I don't want to turn up. People think I'm hiding behind an injury.
Yeah.
And then when I go out and beat them, the only person I'm trying to prove
to yourself
is to myself, and I don't like publicly doing that. But the great thing is, people will be listening to this, mate, going, well. You look at the rock stars. We take the piss all the time, and we call them rock stars for a reason. That's who we all aspire to be.
Yeah.
But you think Connor Cummins is reaching out to you, John McGuinness is reaching out to you, you and Richard Cooper are having chats. You're doing the right thing, but you're essentially a charity kit. You are a privateer, and you will always be a charity. But but what you're doing right here, instead of having such a label of going, I am speaking to so and so, like the last people. This is terrible to say, and this is so bad. But if I hurt myself, I never really thought to speak about the Simon Andrews one, and that's exactly what it's set up for.
Yeah, it is.
But it's so nice for you to actually refresh that. There'll be injured riders out there going, that's exactly what it's for, like you're saying with charity work, and this is what these chats are about.
You know, they put. I didn't know about who I go to for hyperbaric when I did it the first time on. Who do I speak
know it's
to?
there, but how do you get in?
Exactly. Yeah. So they said, oh well, if you go to the one at Leeds, just turn up and they'll contact us. We've dealt with it before. They know who we are. So that was brilliant. I never knew about Aidan Robinson. You guys have been seeing him, haven't you?
Oh God, yeah.
You know, I didn't know who to speak to. I've lost all my faith in
the people you've worked with over the years.
Because they just go, oh, you're a bike racer, you're a moron. You know, I mean, the guy at the NHS when I walked in there, he just said, you need to just go away and mobilise in a pool. And I'm stood there with my mate who was training me. And he said, what do you want us to do? And I'll take him away and we'll go and do everything in a gym. And he said, just go and mobilise in a pool. That's all he said. And I remember just thinking, what is that? You're on your own, aren't you? You're on your own.
That's a problem.
You're on your own.
You need passionate people around a passionate sport, and Aidan. Like for me personally, Aidan Robinson. If he said, "Dominic, I'm going to chop your leg off and stick it to your side of your head," I'd be like, "Whatever you think, son." It's your bike mechanic. You know, it's like Piggy saying to you, "Son, I've taken the back wheel out and put it in the front. You can, right? Need bother."
Yeah, and that's how he put it to me because I'm so sceptical and untrusting of people because of these experiences.
But you've
got to see the right people. You have to see the right. And again, I don't think there's no community there to say to lads, right? Because I said to Ben, you need to go and see Aidan. You know, he is a bloke who understands what we're doing. There's no prejudice. He's not going to start lecturing on your life skills. He wants you to get back on the bike.
And when you say low side, high side, understeer,
he understands everything.
That's it. He's like, he's not, and that's the thing. He's so honest. He's like, I'm not a racer, but he has dealt with we're like Project Bunnies to him, and he
loves it. Like he said to me, I'd sooner. I'm not really interested in helping the guys that sat in offices. I want to help you guys that are smashed to pieces. I'm thinking, where the fuck were you 4 years ago?
That's
3 years ago when I was in tatters.
Do you know how you were hooked on the tramadol last time? Were you back on the tramadol or?
No,
he went straight to smack. Straight to smack.
It just cocoa.
I just find a vein and just.
Is it a cocoa?
Didn't even need a belt anymore.
No, it was. What did they give me now? They gave me
liquid morphine.
Nah, because that was bad as well.
That's good stuff. That though.
I do remember asking this time, what time do you bring the ketamine round? Because I was on ketamine last time when I was in hospital, and the lady in the hall said, no, we don't hand that out here. I felt like saying I can go in the car park and get it for now. I'm in Hull. Do you know what I mean?
It's coming through the window in a drone.
Oh my god! No, so it was. What did they send me away with? They sent me away with like a slow release morphine and like a fast acting. If I was in absolute tatters, I could get that in me sharpish, and then it was codeine.
And have you come off everything okay?
Nothing. I think I did 2 weeks on him out of the hospital, and then
he's got 6 dogs, 4 more kids on the way. That's
like Batsy Dogs home at my Dogs Trust. Animals everywhere. No, it's I've dealt. I think as well because I've been through what I went through 3 years ago with this. I went and saw my surgeon on Wednesday last week, and his words to me, "You're doing too well." So I said, right, okay, what do you mean by that? And he said, you need to just be conscious of what you're doing, because he says, you've walked in here like there's nothing wrong with you, and you're telling me that you're going to go back to work. He said, I need you to understand that you need to be patient with this.
Walk before you can run.
Yeah.
Nah, but you see, no, but you can't discuss this thing. This is a relationship between you and Aidan, but I know Aidan well enough, and
Yeah.
the thing is, we're human beings. Can you feel, in my opinion, like you can do more than what your doctors tell you?
Yeah.
There
More
we
than what
are.
the doctor's saying. Yeah.
There-
I'm,
you've
at
gotta
the
trust
moment,
yourself.
I'm sort of operating at. Absolutely, my dad says you're a man of extremes. Everything has to be done to the extreme, and I'm
You're a bike
I'm
racer.
absolutely at my pain threshold. I'm in agony, doing everything that I'm doing, but I don't feel like there's anything wrong. If that makes
There we
sense,
are.
I don't,
You know your body.
I don't feel like it's a pain that's sending me backwards. But I be under no illusion I am in a lot of pain with it.
Sat
But
here
it's-
now.
I'm not too bad sat here. I had to stand up earlier on, just have a, I have to move about. I have to keep moving, but I'm doing all right. And I think because I've been through that, I sort of know what I'm dealing with this time round. So I'm a little bit more relaxed about it all. Whereas before it was a massive unknown, wasn't it? You're going, you broke your back.
And I tell you what, we've today we're recording this on Sunday. It'll go out like probably next week or whatever. But today
Dan Linfoot will be there by then, so it's fine.
Okay. But you don't need to get him on. I've already told you.
Yeah, it's stuff you've done.
the 2020 MotoGP champion was crowned today. Have you been following MotoGP this year?
Very little.
Do you know what? I've not been following it massively this year. To be fair, I try and catch the results and
I'm
sort
too
of see
tight
where
to pay for BT Sport. That's my
Really?
problem. I'm a Yorkshireman. I'm not paying for that.
It's got jet skis to pay for.
did you? I mean, last week it was Dom was delivering the MotoGP
No,
news.
it was not good. It was not like this.
Why? Because you had no idea what
No,
was going on.
I watched it, but like I just watched it like a regular person rather than analysing it whatsoever. Right.
I
So-and-so.
was laughing when it because I went back through and edited it, and there was a couple of times.
It was a load of shite.
No. A couple of times you went to make really valid points, but you didn't get the rest of the point out. So there was one point where you just said Kenny Roberts and then carried on talking about something else, and you were going to say Kenny Roberts Jr. was the last person to win on a Suzuki. Can you remember that?
No,
but you
I
never
can't
got
remember.
you never got the fact out.
Look. Basically, if I was going to beat my spirit animal's a cocker spaniel, you know what I mean? It's just
I
that,
can tell. Labrador.
what's going on?
But anyway, so Johan Mir was crowned champion today.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this won't be news to anyone. It won't be a
If it's
spoiler
coming out
alert.
next week,
Next week. But it's weird, because he's like to me.
You've just got
from
loads
the,
of mid people just going, like laptops, dick. Just slapping it
from the
down.
races that I've watched this year. Do you know in the past when I've been really like passionately following MotoGP, there's always like someone versus someone, whether it was like Rossi versus Biaggi, Rossi versus Seta Giovinazzo, Lorenzo versus Rossi, Casey Stoner versus. Do you know what? It's always like two massive characters and things. This year seems to be weak. Like Johan Mir's won one race, and there's. Don't get us wrong, he's been outstanding over the course of the season. But
do you not think that's bike racing back to how it should be? Because I think the reason I've tuned off from MotoGP is because I'm sort of sick of the Marquez thing. You can't take anything away. It's not his fault. He's a
phenomenon.
so good.
He's so good, isn't he? It's nothing about that, but it just becomes
predictable.
Who's second and third? Who's going to be second and third out of 4 riders? Whereas this year's
definitely been the most unpredictable year. 100%.
Yeah.
And
I can't think which one I watched. I think it was probably Aragon, Quattararo win.
Quattararo really fallen off the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
He was unreal, and then
Do you reckon that's pressure?
It could be the pressure, or the Yamahas are struggling.
Yeah.
Obviously there was that big thing with they've sort of been caught cheating, doing something illegal, and they've been docked massive points in the championship.
Something to do with Seeley's bike.
Was it? 750.
They've got to use. I think it's 5. They've got 5 engines to use across the season, and Vinales had to use his 6th engine, so he had to start from the pit lane and just all kinds of things. But it's really fallen apart for Quattararo. And but yeah, the Suzukis have been amazing. The first time Suzuki have won the championship since Kenny Roberts Jr. in 2000.
So you got the point in there. You see how he's
made you schoolboy.
It's normally happens.
Teamwork.
Is that what you
Dom
call
starts off the point.
I call that
finish it next
derogatory.
week.
But
But
Yes, I know that word.
Sam Lowe's must have had a big crash in qualifying or whatever. He's really hurt his wrist, but he soldiered through and rode today in pain. Finished 14th, and he's still on. One race to go at Port Mill, and he's 14 points off the leader. So
how did Jake Dixon go?
Not massive. Jake crashed the week before, and he broke his wrist, so he's out at the moment.
I bet you watch every crash and go, shite bag. Like, what? Shite bag.
Pathetic.
When you were speaking of that,
try harder.
Get up.
When you were speaking of that high side that you had at Scarborough, I've just shown you Alex Marquez's one from Q1. That was nasty.
Now, and he's come down on his ass on his same thing. You see, like I was going to say, my airbag suit.
At a cliff with you.
Yeah, well, there were a bit of a drop on there.
No, you've got to watch this on YouTube. People listen to this, bang it out on YouTube.
Do you have an airbag suit?
Yes.
Do you have an airbag suit?
No.
You see, I've got an RST one, and we're all an RST, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't have a scratch on me, but I think, is there any way that they can get those airbags to come further down? Do any of them do that? Do any of these manufacturers do something that protects your coccyx? Because you think when them airbags go off, they only work from your waist up, don't they, really?
See,
they're like a chest.
I have to say, I've not set mine off.
I have twice, mine, yeah.
Both times been unscathed.
First one.
What back protector you wear? I wear force field body armor one. Now that is a drop, a name drop.
But those RST airbag ones, you don't have to wear a back protector with them, do you? No. Because it's all built into
I will not ride a bike without.
Well, I said to him,
no, I'm not. You know what I mean?
You don't have to wear one in there, do you?
No,
because it's all part of the suit.
I still wear one, but you don't have to. No,
I don't think a back protector would help mine.
No, it's common.
It's force rather than. Of course it is. But like one of Marquez's horrible. That.
And the race itself was pretty decent today. Turned into Jack Miller versus Morbidelli on the last sort of lap or two, and I think there was about 4 or 5 overtaking manoeuvres on the last lap with Morbidelli getting it ahead of Jack, and then I think it was Paul Espargaro on the KTM, which KTM's come on really strong this year as well. And
I like seeing underdogs like Nakagami though.
He's doing good.
Boys that you just think he's always sort of just been in there, hasn't he? But not really.
Who's he riding for next year?
Is he staying at LCR?
I'd imagine so. Yeah. The Japanese link.
Have you seen Cal Crutchlow? He's like the Yamaha test rider.
Is he?
Really? I didn't know that.
God. Love moments. This is my smug face. There you are. Yeah, no. So he's been signed by Yamaha as a test rider.
Right. So he's not racing. Retired.
Wild cards are potentially on the well.
I'd seen he was retiring, but
and what would GP of finishing? Usually they finish the season at Valencia, where they've been for the last 2 weekends. But the last race of the season's at Port Mill down in the Algarve.
Yeah.
And also, have you ever been there?
I haven't.
Awesome track. Probably my favourite track I've ever raced on. And do you know, I've just been tidying my bedroom out, and I was looking through sheets. I raced at
all the money, all the prize money.
Does your mum not still tidy already?
I raced at.
Does your washing now?
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Does she do your cooking?
Yes, everything. In a race when I was racing in
brushing out.
We're jealous. We're jealous. We're totally jealous.
Do you know Rinaldi? Who thinks I finished 11th and he was 14th in the race.
Really?
Yeah,
because he's another another Nakagami kind of underdog. And I'd seen his. Where was it? Where he did Aragon as well, wasn't it? That's where he sort of pulled something out of the bag and was
won by like 6 seconds or something.
Phenomenal. I just think that's a cool thing about racing, isn't it? Where these unpredictable, you never know what's going to happen, do you?
Do you have watching British shooter bikes? Do you have a superbike rider that you think of as the underdog, but that have a chance of doing well, or like a team or anything?
What, in British or in
BSB when you're watching? Yeah. Do you have a favourite rider that you're watching superbikes?
Not particularly. No.
Do you look out for anyone in particular?
No. No, I'm just it's kind of that broad spectrum of fan base across them all. It's hard to. To be honest, I know this is totally because we're work together on the show and stuff. But the first time I've actually followed someone outside of my own sport is you. Obviously, grew up with my dad and watching him race, but it's the first time I've actually watched a track without watching the whole situation.
Just focused on the rider type of thing.
Going you know what I mean? It was just right. I would say
I always check in to see how Billy's got on. I will now. You and me have had a conversation. I'll check and see how you get
That's
on.
what that's the thing.
Taylor Mackenzie's a good mate, so I always check and see how T-Mac's got on.
Yeah.
And
Have you seen Taylor's just had leg surgery? Knee surgery?
did, yeah.
Successful?
Yeah,
Hopefully,
yeah,
thank God.
I dropped him a text and he
got
said
no,
he was
got no pain, so it's
Brilliant.
It's the first time he's been able to straighten his leg all year as well.
Yeah,
so I think
big thing.
Step in the right direction.
Yeah, by the way, lads, I'm just going to get me little dig out here against the racing world. Where have we gone wrong? We're the only ones who haven't had a holiday. Everyone else is out on holiday, aren't they? Out jet skiing, going out playing miniature golf and stuff like that. We're the only ones. Who is? Well, the whole Honda racing team.
They're the only ones I can think of.
Well, fair play. They're doing it right in Honda. So if you're listening, fair play. Glen Irwin, Honda. Suzuki rider, Bill Bass, world's richest farmer, Tim Neve.
Yeah.
Yep, he was out there. Suzuki obviously footed the bill for that one. Fair play. Them two listen to this, so they'll be like, oh, fuck off, Dominic. But yeah, which is fair enough. Standard practice.
Tell you what, I would like to get
Have you met Tom and Tim Neve?
No.
Mint, honestly.
Like
they are
they're
seriously
Lincolnshire lads.
Yeah.
Lincolnshire lads. Solid. Absolutely. Same with interview. Glenn Dick. Like, that's the thing. When you meet people, you get drawn to them in that way. So everyone we've actually interviewed, it's just
been good crack.
It has been good crack, hasn't it? So.
And I tell you what, we've got a few other sort of housekeeping things for this podcast because over the last week or so, I've been working hard at getting various things organised. We've got some new merchandise coming out, which I think will be out by the time this gets on.
You need to sign that lid before you go.
We've also this lid is going to be going on eBay this week. So when this podcast's out, this lid will be on. So if you check our social media pages. I'll put the link on the YouTube video and stuff. But we're auctioning that off for Macmillan. Cool. So it's got some great signatures on that. And we've also got a competition running. Dom's got
about 4 months ago.
Go on, Dom. It's a print of
Joe Akroyd.
You know on that.
Suspension failure going into
it's a mega print for people watching the YouTube video. Dom's just getting it out.
the poster.
God, from last year.
There's a few. There's actually, I think that's only fair to say there's 2 giveaways here. I think we'll have to sort that out. I'm just giving up a lot more work there. This is just obviously everyone on the podcast listening to this going. It's just so this is Isle of Man TT picks. Absolutely awesome job. Where's that on the course? You should be able to tell. Balacry. Next one.
Quarterbridge.
Damn it, the man is good. I tell you what, how do I win the competition? That's an
awesome picture of that in it. But anyway, to win this,
they are clear, like, aren't they? They are hellish.
We've got a YouTube channel. It's like at Motorbike Pod on YouTube. And for your chance to win on this podcast, you just have to like the video and write "done" in the comments, and we'll pick 2 people at random. And bear in mind, we usually only get about 10-15 comments, so if you do go on, bother going on and doing commenting and liking it, you've probably got a good chance of winning.
Can I just put "done" 15 times?
No, you're only allowed to enter once.
Now, to be fair, this is really poor because not many people would want a poster of me, so that's we're not gonna you've got to think about the product we're selling here, Chrissy. You know, it's not going to be very good, is it?
But yeah, mega prints then. And we've also got
Joe Akroyd's going to throw a dog in, one of his 6 dogs he's got at home. That's it.
We've also got a newsletter coming out, which will be going. It's on our website. You can subscribe to it, but we'll get a mailing list sorted. And if you're interested, I think we're going to do it twice a month, and it's just going to be sort of random, interesting things. But if you want an email to drop into your a bike racing email from Chasin the Racing with loads of cool stuff on twice a month, then you can subscribe to that. So that'll be all on our website, chasintheRacing.com. But thanks very much for making the effort to drive up all this way. And what is it, like an hour and a half?
Yeah, about an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. Safe journey home.
Thank
and
you very
thanks.
much.
I've really enjoyed sort of getting to know you, really.
No, thank you
I'm over the moon you got on the podium. I am so happy you got on the podium.
Now, we're always like when I'm editing the videos, I always think of like it's either an innuendo from the podcast or something from the podcast that for like an eye-catching title. Can you think of anything?
No, nothing that you'd want to write down because.
Oh no, that's exactly what we're after. So on this show,
I'll have a good
think about it.
Yeah, I'll have a good think of things. What's that operation called? The thing up your japs?
The catheter.
The catheter.
How can you not remember that?
I've never heard of it.
You need to have one done. Then you won't forget.
Next time on Chasin the Racing.
But no, I think that's everything from us.
Honestly, I don't want him to go.
Massive thank you to our patrons and to our sponsor Colchester Kawasaki. And when I take it, you won't be out on a bike for quite a while.
with the winter? Or are you going to work?
Yeah, we'll have our usual Triumph trips to launch bikes, but
if you ever need spare riders, just give us a...
Damn it, I'm gutted you got in there first, because they're all going to pick you well over me, aren't they? You know what I mean? Damn it.
No, that'll be the first time, and then hopefully we can, well, depending on what happens next year.
Are you continuing other people's bikes?
Yeah.
Are you continuing that for next year?
Yeah, we've missed loads here. You're also going to ride
The plan for next year is that everything that was going to happen this year will happen next year. So
Fantastic.
the Team Classic Suzuki
Superbike ride.
Superbike will still be there for the TT, and the People's Bike will still be there for doing the Southern.
That's an awesome looking bike, by the way. That's classic.
That classic Suzuki's are something. A beautiful looking.
Is that linked
bike.
with York Suzuki?
No, nothing to do with it.
Totally different outfits, them, aren't they?
Yeah. So the Team Classic Suzuki is Steve Wheatman and Nathan Columbi. Nathan builds the bikes, phenomenal bike builder and engine builder, and Steve owns the bikes. And I have no knowledge of what their Team York Suzuki thing is. I don't know where. I think they just run the same livery because it's got that kind of modern but vintage Superbike look. So they all run the same. Similar colours.
I was just about to say, if you're looking for a teammate, I'm looking for a ride, but you've actually already got a teammate, haven't you, for that?
I believe
Tom Whedon. That's it.
Yeah,
yes.
and that'll all. As far as I know, I mean, I haven't heard anything different.
Well, if you want to put a nudge in for me, that would be awesome.
I'll have a word. I mean,
It's nothing like trying to steal someone's ride live. On
Oh no, as long as it could be stealing other things from Tom, couldn't you? So there you go. But
so listen.
No, probably not. But no, if you're listening, Tom, it's fair game. So, but yeah.
No, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But that's the plan for
Well,
next
all
year.
the best. Have a lovely
Thank you very
Christmas
much,
and
and-
off season, and we'll catch up in 2021 at some point.
Spot on. Thanks very
Thanks
much.
very
lads.
much, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Ta-ra.
Click, buy, deliver with the two-time Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year, Colchester, Kawasaki. Proud sponsors of Chasin, the Racin.